What is going on, everybody? It is episode 363 of Pop Culture Crisis. My name's Brett. I'm here with my co-host. My co-host who's better than me. She just said so off air.
Okay.
Introduce yourself, please.
Didn't know we were starting off with beef today. Hi, Crisis Actors. It's Mary. And I guess I'm better than Brett. He said it himself.
I did.
Today, I'm sure you are already aware, Serge is here.
I am here.
You're wearing a what is that, a sweatband?
Yeah, it's Brandon Buckingham. If anyone watches him on YouTube, he has this line about being a cold A-word writer. I don't want to swear in the first.
I was hoping it said Stone Cold on the other side, and it was a Stone Cold Steve Austin headband.
No, but that would be cool.
That'd been cool
That would
too.
be cool. Yeah.
All right, how you doing, buddy?
I'm doing good. Happy to be here. Happy for the topics. It looks fun.
All right, we're gonna have some fun today. I said that Mary's better than me because we were talking about religion and leftism and all sorts of existentially weird stuff before the show gets started. It's always fun, right?
Yeah, real fun.
Yeah, well, tons of fun, right? We got a bunch of stuff to talk about today. Tom Hanks is condemning book censorship in a recent interview. He's doing so because he's got a new book coming out, which he says blows the lid off of Hollywood. Frankly, I'm going to hold my breath, or should I say I'm not going to hold my breath. I don't exactly think that Tom Hanks. Did I say Cruise or did I say Hanks? I said Hanks, right? Okay, I imagine today at least once. Thank you. I will screw up and say. And I will say the wrong thing today. So I'll probably end up saying Tom Cruise at least once. So we're going to talk about him and his comments on censorship. We're going to talk about the fact that Hollywood has a violent female rhetoric problem. Best illustrated through two specific articles that I found yesterday. And I'm just wondering, what are all these ladies doing spouting all of this very, very violent verbiage? I don't want to just assume why, but I have questions because I'm told constantly that men are the ones we need to worry about. So we're going to discuss that. It's Sandra Bullock and it's Charlize Theron. So we're going to talk about that. And we're going to talk about Britney Spears. She's apparently addicted to caffeine. If that sounds like a ridiculous starter for the topic, it kind of is. But we're going to go into it a little bit more because she's still going through her sort of, would you call it a descent, Mary? She's on her
downward spiral into madness. I mean, she's already there.
A little bit.
But she's supposedly staying up for like 3 days at a time on just dandelion tea and a dream. I'm not really buying it.
Yeah, I don't know if energy drinks are enough to keep you awake for 3 days. So we're going to talk about that. We're also going to talk about Sam Smith. He had a concert that was supposed to take place in Israel. He canceled that concert, and there are a bunch of articles from conflicting websites that have different ideas as to why it would have been canceled. So we will discuss it. We will get into it. If you guys are ready, we will get going. Are you ready, Mary?
Let's go.
Serge, you ready?
Let's do it.
All right, let's do it. So to start the show, I've got an unfortunate announcement for everyone here. The new Barney series is still happening. It's still happening. 2024 on HBO Max. So it'll just be Max by that point.
Did you watch Barney, Serge?
I did when I was young. I haven't watched it in a long
But you're you're even like aged out a little bit, right?
It was still on TV when I was a child. I was really new to the U.S. at that point. I moved here in 1996, so I was just kind of I was still watching things like Postman Pat, and etc. when I was a child. Things that were like British. You
didn't assimilate to American culture by watching Barney.
No, definitely not.
Barney
I think if anything assimilated me to the American culture was honestly probably Sesame Street. If anything. Yeah, and then also like VeggieTales, which I'm sure you know about. If you've heard of VeggieTales.
Yeah, I was raised on VeggieTales.
Right. So same here. I was raised on VeggieTales as well. But Barney was just kind of outside my. It was just weird. I was like, it's a dude in a costume. It's weird. Like I didn't understand it.
I actually saw that all of the episodes of Carmen, Where in the World is Carmen Sandiego and Ghost Rider were on YouTube, and I went one Saturday. I just like sat there and watched like all of the first season of Ghost Rider on YouTube. That. So
did you watch Noggin a lot or the channel Noggin?
No.
I watched the channel Noggin in California. If anyone remembers Noggin, that was interesting.
Yeah.
Ghost Rider and Wishbone and
all those shows.
Yeah, all those shows.
Yeah, good stuff.
That whole.
So it says that, yes, remember, it's going to be updated for modern audiences, which means CGI Barney, which is somehow creepier than live-action Barney that looks like he's been washed too many times in in a dryer.
Does he have like a tooth gap?
Yes.
They gave him a tooth gap, but did he have one before?
I don't think so.
They also gave him opposable thumbs.
What?
Like, they gave him human hands.
Watch those kids, I'm just saying. Watch those kids.
Instead of the normal T-Rex,
Those little pincers.
Yeah, the pincers.
Those were creepy too, though. To be fair, those were creepy too.
How can he hold your hand
with
only 2 fingers?
Well, maybe
aren't
it's
his arms supposed to be like this long, anyways.
maybe
Yeah.
that's so that he could actually hold multiple kids' hands at the same
Yeah,
time.
now
so.
he's got like bendy elbows.
Yeah.
They're really like
weird now.
humanizing him too much now.
Yep.
Yeah.
And they made him like more purple than he used to be. Maybe I'm Mandela affecting it.
No, he looked like I said, he always looked like he just like he'd been washed and dried a million times before. Look
Yeah,
at old
really worn
photos of
out.
him.
Yeah.
Looks like he'd been through the dryer a bunch. So, you know. I have no desire to watch this. There is that docuseries, I Love You, You Hate Me, that was on like Hulu or something that chronicles
So
the
dumb.
hatred that's come to Barney over the years because people have
They're
like
just the dumbest documentaries
Yes.
populating streaming services right now as the original content, and then the rest of it is they just hoover up
yeah.
all the rest of the IP stuff.
Yep.
It's so bad.
Yeah.
You pay like $15 for each one.
Speaking of IP, there's Beetlejuice 2, which is in the works. Michael Keaton
Great.
starring and Jenna Ortega. Like I said, she better be careful or she's going to pigeonhole herself as goth girl.
I mean, it's already happened.
She's
so
gonna have to work on
it's
that.
already too late.
Maybe
that's what she wants.
You just know after this they're gonna be like coming soon, live action Nightmare Before Christmas, and she's like, ooh, me. Like she will want to do that.
Live action Coraline, I can see that.
Yeah,
as
live
well.
action. Yeah, they could end up doing that, and then
would Tim Burton agree to that?
I don't know.
I feel like they've already asked him a million times probably, and he's always said no. That's
Yeah.
why it hasn't happened yet.
Smart guy.
Like, that's the most obvious.
Yeah, but he loves working with Jenna Ortega now. You know, now
Right.
obviously
Maybe.
because Tim Burton is bringing
How
this
long has
one
it
out.
been since the first?
Dude, it's like the mid '80s.
It's
right?
been like 30 years at least.
It's been a very long
I
time.
imagine he'd maybe try and do something where he like incorporated both like live action and come up with some kind of way to do it in a mixed media thing. I just imagine
that would require creativity, which is not possible.
What
now,
other
so
goth? What other goth
gonna happen.
properties could she take over?
That's a good question.
Maybe if they like remade Edward Scissorhands.
Yes,
Edward Scissorhands, yeah.
Edwina Scissorhands, and they'll just
Well,
have
no,
her do it.
she would just be Winona Ryder.
No. She's gonna. They can't do that. They have to.
Because then she wouldn't be goth.
they have to gender
Right.
swap. They have to
True.
gender swap Edward.
Do that. Okay, I was
Edna Scissorhands. Perfect.
Edna, nice.
There we go.
I've always been expecting at some point to see like a Breakfast Club remake.
Yeah.
With like modern high school.
Oh, they're gonna
a
do
different
it.
take on
You
it.
know
I don't know
they're
if they
gonna
still
do
do.
It'll
like,
be about living in the poverty
weekend-
line. It'll be like no Breakfast Club, like the all the stuff about like Michelle
Yeah.
Obama and like kids have to go to school to eat breakfast.
Yeah, it'd be
That's what
something
they'll
like
do.
that. I mean, but do they even do weekend detention anymore? Is that even a thing?
You know, they
don't
could bring
Yeah,
back.
I see videos of high school students like macing and attacking their teachers now, so I
Right.
don't think that that's possible.
I don't think
in this
detention's
day
a
and
thing
age.
even anymore. Who knows?
Maybe what they can do. Here's what they can do. They can do a race and gender swapped weekend at Bernie's. It'll be weekend at Bernice's.
At Brandon's?
Yeah. No, because it'll be weekend at Bernice's, and she will be the dead. She'll be Bernie, and then they'll have
hate
two
this
people
idea.
carry her around.
They'll just call her Bernie anyways. It's like the name is fine. Like, what
They-
are you saying? Your names have gender attached to them? Like, that's problematic. You can't do that.
I was actually watching an old episode of a show called Body of Proof, where a guy's like this detective's like having his first kid, and he's going through like an existential crisis on names, and he's wondering why all the women have men's names now.
Oh.
And he's like, "You're Joe." He's like, "You're Joe. She's this." Then he lists all these like women who have like guys' names there because you know you can do that now. It doesn't matter anymore.
Yeah.
All right. Oh, speaking of race and gender swapped remakes, we have a gender swapped one right here, and that is they're making a Matlock reboot starring a woman. Sorry, Andy Griffith, you may not.
Nice.
You may not rest in peace, unfortunately. So here it is. It says they're eyeing a series order to Matlock, inspired by Andy Griffith, classic of the same name. The reimagining casts Oscar winner Kathy Bates as the title character, a brilliant septuagenarian by the name of Madeline Matlock, who rejoins the workforce at a prestigious law firm where she uses her unassuming demeanor and wily tactics to win cases and expose corruption from within. Well, of course, those lawyers, they're as bad as landlords these days.
Unassuming demeanor is promising. She's at least not
Over the top.
bulldozing everybody.
Could be. You never know. But yeah, of course, nothing would ever be left alone. When are we going to get the Leave It to Beaver remake?
Oh. That would be funny.
Please no.
I could see that being gender swapped.
Yeah. Oh well, I mean, just the whole thing.
Sure.
Yeah,
being
like,
a softball instead of baseball, it'll just be.
and it'll take place in another country. It won't be in America.
Probably it will still be baseball actually, because like it's like gendered to assume that women play softball and men play baseball.
That is true.
Yeah.
Oh, I saw something the other day where like apparently like the first. I don't mean to be mean to this lady. I don't remember her name. She's like the first girl to make like a D1 like level baseball team on the men's team.
Oh,
and she threw out the first pitch and like completely missed a plate.
I saw that
Like,
too.
Oh, I felt really.
It's just an embarrassment.
Yeah,
Which she totally deserves. Sorry.
You know.
Kind of agree.
It's been a minute since they rebooted Twilight Zone, right?
Yes. No. 5 years ago.
Zone? Yeah, it was like 5 years ago. I
Yeah.
remember that came back. But I mean, that's way out of like our age group. That's for sure.
Who cares about that?
Yeah, I don't know. I wouldn't watch it. Is what I'm saying.
Yeah.
I have no intention or desire to watch it. I have no like nostalgia from Twilight Zone. It's just kind of like, oh, that's this weird thing.
They brought back Unsolved Mysteries too, I think.
I mean, I liked old Twilight Zone episodes, and I've watched some, but I don't think that we are in a creative enough time in human history where similar stories can be made.
Correct.
And remaking them is useless because you're never going to do them in the better way.
Right. Yeah, true.
All right. Also, guys, remember how there's a writer's strike going on and they want more money? Well, remember that Warner Brothers just cut $5 billion, Disney's cutting like $7 billion, and now Paramount just cut 25% of its staff, and people are like, we want more money.
It's crazy that I know this is what unions are for, but it's crazy that the whole picket line is just more money. We want more money. Like, that's the entire thing. They're not being abused. They're not being exploited in any way.
They want to get rid of the mini rooms. The mini writers' rooms that are used, where basically they hire a mini room of people with like two head writers and then 2 junior writers.
Who are you to tell
the studios how to run
studio or a writer, a singular writer, how to do their project? That's part of artistic integrity, right?
Right.
You'd think.
To allow one person to create something or 2 people.
Also,
I'm just glad because I didn't get a job at Paramount years ago. But I understand why they're striking, because everything in Hollywood costs a lot more money, and everything in Hollywood used to cost a lot of money. And then I don't imagine that they're raising the amount that they're earning with the amount of inflation increase. And
You were pursuing a job at Paramount?
Totally different job than this. Obviously not writing, but
Okay.
yeah. So sucks to suck, I guess.
Also, remember, this does come with one attachment, which is that MTV News has been shut down.
Yeah.
Hold on.
Sad. Where am I going to get my new music as DJ? That's just.
I didn't even know
now.
that MTV News existed
Oh,
until
yeah.
this moment.
Yeah, I did.
MTV News is a thing.
I knew that BuzzFeed
Kind of-
News was a thing.
MTV News kind of became propaganda the way that Teen Vogue became propaganda
Yeah.
in a lot of
Yeah,
the same
true.
ways.
Yeah,
like,
true.
But it's in a less obvious way. I mean, I don't think actual teens care about MTV or Vogue.
no, it's millennials that cared about
Yeah.
MTV News. So it was propaganda for my generation.
I remember reading Teen Vogue when it started going woke, and I just canceled my subscription in like 2013.
Yeah.
Also, I want to point out there was some funny articles about like, look at how clever the signs these writers are making are for the writer's strike. I'm like, well, if they were that clever with the actual writing on the shows, none of this would be happening.
Right.
But that's not my fault. That's your fault.
Yeah.
It's, if you put half the effort into your crappy network television spinoff, then maybe we wouldn't be in this position right now.
Yeah, true.
That was very rude. I'm just
No.
I'm not
That's
kidding, but
opinion.
it's they're all out striking. It is what it is. All right. Also, I found this earlier. I found it very annoying, and it's a thing where I'm sorry I didn't show this to you guys earlier. I meant to. Buffy the Vampire Slayer comics, and they're talking about, is Whedon's creation still relevant? And it's just like this interview where this lady who writes Buffy comics basically is like, I love Buffy except for the fact that they're all white and thin. Except for the fact that Joss Whedon is problematic. And it's just very, like, you can tell it's like we live in a time now where even the things you like, if you are of a certain ideology, you're kind of bred to hate things, even if you like them.
So is she going to make all the characters fat and non-white?
Basically, yes. She says of the Buffy fandom is really incredible. The elephant in the room is that there are some problematic creators associated with the show. I think you mean creator.
It was just him.
It's just him.
Yeah.
It says, but something I have seen I've been a fan of the Buffy since it aired. I'm in my 40s. I was a teenager when it came out. I was watching in syndication and felt the power even then. There is a relatability to all the characters in Buffy. Buffy. Yes, most of them are thin, white, conventionally attractive characters, which can be difficult for people who don't fit into the mold to really identify with. No, you like... You are treating human beings as if they're less than children. You're treating people as if they're morons. You do not need to look like a character to identify with them, nor do you need to even identify with them to like them.
There's also just not recognizing that we were racially more homogenous in the 90s, so it would make sense that our entertainment would also look more racially homogenous.
Yeah. Look, when you watch Buffy and you look at a character like Willow, who is awkward and uncomfortable and geeky and has to come into her own and grow into the person that she needs to be. Same with Xander, who has no powers and is basically kind of a dork, who grows into be a hero in his own right. Anyone can identify with that. I don't need to look like Allison Hannigan, nor do I need to look like Nicholas Brendan to be able to identify with those characters.
Well, it's, I guess, sort of like I think this is from Not Another Teen Movie, where it's like any girl with glasses and a ponytail is a nerd.
Yes.
Yeah, it is. Yeah.
It's sort of like that, where it is hard to suspend your disbelief.
Oh well, yeah. I mean, you look at Nicholas Brendan. Like they do the ironclad thing. They give him glasses. They're like, oh, he's a dork now, except for he's tall and good looking.
Clark Kent.
Yes.
As well.
But like in the show, like Buffy, the reason people love Buffy is that she doesn't treat other people less than they deserve to be treated. So she's kind and she's good friends with Xander, even though Xander has really nothing in the way of powers to offer them. These are stories that go deeper than just the concept of the color of their skin, what they look like, and what their immutable characteristics are. And it's just weird to see somebody who likes Buffy so much that they're like developing Buffy comics.
It's a horseshoe. Like, I like Buffy so much that I hate Buffy.
Yeah. And they bring up, of course, they bring up Joss Whedon, and they bring up his mistreatment of Charisma Carpenter. Charisma Carpenter, whose character ends up being perhaps my favorite between all of Buffy and all of Angel. I think her character is easily my favorite, and believe me, I don't look anything like Charisma Carpenter. No. I wish I did. Okay, maybe not. But you know what I'm saying. Charisma Carpenter is a gorgeous woman who plays a vapid, self-obsessed character who comes to be a hero in her own right. That doesn't require somebody to look like them or even be of the same gender to identify with or enjoy the story of. It's absolutely ridiculous.
It's resentment. It's just you end up despising something that you see as an ideal that is unattainable, or you perceive it to be unattainable simply because it's unattainable.
And these people should also be embarrassed because there will never be feminist television done as well as Buffy the Vampire Slayer was done in the late 90s. True. Unfortunately, that's never going to happen again. Mainly because I think the societal attitude on feminism has become more combative these days than it was in the 90s. So, all right, just a little something I wanted to complain about because it was just they talk about how the concepts of it are so relevant and they can be added to any other social ills. I was like, oh, please no. Please don't do that. Just leave it alone. Like, just don't.
As long as it's not a TV show.
Yeah.
I'm fine
They say, I think there's something that, this is the person who was interviewed, says, I think there's something that makes Buffy so relevant, so it's very easy to take this concept of a Slayer and use it to talk about whatever other current evils are. So in the 90s, the 1997 show, it really dealt with themes of feminism, inequality, and power structures against adults. And those were big things that were talked about then. It is so easy to take that same setup and apply it to whatever is going on today. I will pay you money to not do that. I will literally, I will start.
I think that you're missing the point. Buffy is relevant today because it was good.
Because everyone's witches.
Also witch talk.
Yeah,
but comics are irrelevant, so you have nothing to worry about. No one is going to read or buy this.
That is a fair point. That is a good. That is. I mean, the hardcore Buffy fans might, but
maybe.
They might not. Like, they make like woke James Bond comics too.
Oh yeah.
It's like super woke.
I did not know that.
Yes, they're not
proving
good.
my point.
Comics is wild.
Exactly. All right, guys, we got cringe of the day and we got cute of the day. What would you guys like first?
Okay, someone commented yesterday saying that we need eye bleach, so we do cringe first, then
true.
cute.
Good point.
So cringe first.
Let's go with cringe
Okay,
first.
let's first watch the video.
Okay.
So this is here. I did see. Yes, here we go.
Street interview videos are like so viral right now.
Rate me out of 10.
Maybe like a 3?
300.
I like a 3 out of 10.
Oh,
And your voice kind of just pissed me off, I'm not gonna lie.
pissing you off.
Why do you sound like that? You're like out of an anime, stop. Talk normal. Yeah, you're kind of annoying, I'm gonna be honest.
I think that was set up. Personally, I think that was set up. But
Maybe.
yes, I think that was.
But I don't
planned.
know. I don't know. I've met women in Los Angeles that are like mid-20s that act and behave like that.
Act
I'm
that
like,
way?
what's your problem? Like, what is actually wrong with you? Like,
What is
it makes you so I mean, personally, I'm like unnerved and don't enjoy being around that. It's like you're like in your 20s.
They act like
you're an
anime
adult.
girls.
Yeah, they have like the whole vibe. They have like the coitus. Like, you know, it's like chill, please chill out.
Yep.
Yeah, but it's real. It's real. I don't know if this particular incident was
that felt set up to me.
It kind of feels
I
like
could
it
be wrong.
was. But
I mean, I believe that she's not like that usually, but she was. I think that guy was actually
Annoyed by her.
annoyed. Yeah.
I understand. I get it, dude.
All right, I got a couple of others here that are very, very cringy. The first is rich, famous actress Priyanka Chopra, who, as much as I may laud as being gorgeous and beautiful, is very annoying. She is very annoying, in which she complains about all of the trauma that came from being supposedly compared to the character Apu from The Simpsons. Frankly, I don't
Apu's
buy it.
dope.
I don't
She
buy
said
that this
everyone
happened.
kept asking me why I don't talk like Apu from The Simpsons.
I don't believe that happened to you
Everyone
more
kept
than once.
asking her.
Everyone, huh?
That it probably happened to her one time in middle school.
I don't buy that a bunch of people just randomly come up to her and are like,
Also, I'm not saying that she's not attractive, but sometimes I see pictures of her that are more recent, and I'm just like, why are you hyping her up so much?
maybe my brain is still stuck on her from Quantico in 2015.
Yeah.
That is almost a decade ago. It's like, you know.
That's crazy. 2015,
it's
almost
like
a
7
decade
years,
ago.
it's like
Yeah, it's
7
wild
years
to
ago
say
now.
that.
So, you know, I just, you know, but I do like her, and like I watched Citadel last night. Oh my God. Okay, I posted this on Twitter. So I meant when we first covered Citadel, I pointed out the Russo brothers shot that I make fun of, the one where the camera starts like at a Dutch angle and it pushes in and it straightens out.
Yes.
It was like they did a bunch of cocaine and drugs and were like, we're gonna do the Russo's brothers shot on steroids. They didn't even start at a Dutch angle. It starts completely 180 degrees upside down and pushes in and completely turns forward, and like a bunch of people responded like, thanks, I hate it. Like, why would you share that with me? It's like they literally took, and the Russo brothers aren't directing this, so that I don't know if they're like, you need to include at least one of these shots in every single one of of the episodes of a show we produce.
It's your brand.
Yeah, it's part of their brand. So yeah, she basically says that everyone kept asking me why I didn't speak like Apu, why my accent wasn't like Apu.
This and her sob stories about coming from Bollywood, I just have no patience for it.
Yeah. I mean, I don't understand why she's so mad about being compared with Apu. Like, Apu's dope. Like,
he's gone now. They got rid of him.
He's completely
R.I.P.
the erasure that occurred in The Simpsons because of I guess, I don't even know. That's supposed to be a good thing.
Woke white women on Twitter.
Woke whitewashing.
I mean,
is
are
essentially
they
what it was.
Are they claiming that there aren't a lot of Indian gas station owners?
No, they're saying that it doesn't matter because it's stereotypical, and stereotypes are vaguely harmful.
Even though he, like, in the show, like, he came from India, he achieved the American dream.
Literally made him something.
He made everything for himself.
He was a boy boss.
Yeah, he was a boss. He did a boy boss. Yeah, he did everything that he was supposed to do right, and it's not good enough. You're not supposed to. You're not supposed to think that. You're not supposed to think that someone can come from another country.
Pretend he doesn't exist.
Yeah,
it's easier.
it's absurd. I mean, if you guys don't know who Akash Singh is, the comedian.
No.
He had a whole bit about this specifically, talking about how he is Akash Singh. He's on.
Oh, yes. Okay, no, I've seen it. Yeah. Yep.
And he has a whole bit about literally that. Like, he's like a role model in a lot of ways. He did a lot of good things. That scared me a little bit. Okay. But yeah, I don't understand why you should be annoyed that it's like, okay, your name's Priyanka Chopra. Yep. Okay, and you got compared to another Indian guy. Like, sorry, you know, like, I don't think anyone's acting as if you own a 7-Eleven. Like, chill. What's your problem? I don't know.
Also, India is so racist.
Yeah, definitely.
India is one of the most racist countries out there.
Maybe
against
China.
their own people.
Yeah, definitely
like
because of the
caste system
right.
still exists, and she would be at the top of it.
Yeah, she'd be a Brahmin for sure. For sure. Name Chopra. Yeah.
Yep. So these are the stories that will keep Hollywood going for years and keep the division in the public for years because rich people get to complain about it as if they're not the rich elites of society.
I know. It's so funny.
Sorry.
Just self-flagellate themselves.
All right. And also we have one more cringy one today, and that's this person who basically says that she compared Taylor Swift's recent concert that had a rain delay to Astroworld.
Wow.
Even though Taylor waited until the rain died down and went until 2 a.m. for a 4-hour concert.
She says, I love Taylor with all my heart. I'm one of her biggest fans. She says, but I felt uncomfortable, unsafe, and terrified at points. Man, she would have not survived the mosh pits back in the day.
She had to go underneath stadium seats where the concessions are
to wait for the rain to die down.
Okay, comparing that to the death of children is
it's not you're getting trampled by thousands of people.
That's frustrating.
Also,
to me.
like it's an arena stadium tour. There are seats there for a reason. You just stay where you're supposed to stay.
Yeah,
it's not like some open mosh pit where you're going to get crushed.
I'm just saying, like we're in a time now where we, as a culture, could do with a little bit of toughening up.
Yeah,
also,
I agree.
10 people dying from asphyxiation at Astroworld is like so much worse than it was made out to be after the fact.
Yeah.
Like that's a lot of people.
Yeah, it's bad.
And I think there were more sketchy things that they went and hid afterwards too, like people getting injected with stuff by strangers.
No, there was a guy who was going around, like, because there was concerns about whether that was connected to it, right? Like there was a guy going around and just injecting people and walking by them.
Yeah. What the fuck?
And whether or not those people that had died had been victim to that guy.
Yeah.
Attacking
because then it would have been he would have been guilty.
But if it were a shooting at Astroworld, then what would the response have been?
I am surprised, as someone, I'm not going to divulge more, but as someone who's worked within Travis Scott's empire, if you want to call it that there wasn't an actual shooting at Astroworld. Because there were people rushing over the fences and stuff like that I'm sure everyone saw that, people just bum rushing the fences outside. Yeah. They just had regular chain link fences, like without anyone guarding them. Like if anyone's done events and etc., you can imagine that's not an okay way to do that. But I'm surprised there wasn't a shooting. Like
there's
shocked
no security.
there wasn't. Yeah, there's like no way to guarantee these people aren't bringing in pieces.
Right.
Like,
and he's regularly encourages people to get rowdy, and rush,
like literally,
and actively ignored
ragers.
People climbing up to tell him what was happening.
Yeah. Anyways, Travis Scott's basically just bit off of all of A$AP Rocky stuff for the last 10 years. So whatever.
Just saying, like this girl, like complete. It kind of gives me the vibes of the guy, the kid at the Starbucks. He's like, I have to work an 8-hour shift today,
so
and there's nobody to help me.
It's like, wow, welcome to real life. I've been there. Too bad.
A whole 8 hours at work, huh?
Yeah.
That does sound
wow.
horrible.
A whole work day. Ooh,
that
geez.
is crazy.
That sucks.
How are you going to make it when you're done? All right. I got some cute of the day as well, guys. I have not forgotten. And I got a bunch because I've gone through. So bear with me, guys. I'm only going to get a couple every day if you've submitted. First is from Rascal King, who I have not seen in the chat in quite some time.
Where'd our king who talks about himself in the third person go?
Seriously. It says, hey, y'all, here's my little girl. She left us Monday. Let's celebrate her and all the people she had a positive impact on. Aww. So that is very, very sad. And I moved Rascal King up the queue because this was just the other day. Mm-hmm. So here's some pictures.
I guess face reveal for Rascal King.
Yes.
There.
Oh.
Pretty.
Oh,
sorry for your loss.
I almost didn't want to turn around. Yeah, I'm sorry. Rest in peace.
Very sorry. That is sad, but we, having the dog for a long period of time and being able to have it make an impact on you is what matters.
I just can't get over that he actually referred to himself in the first person.
As the Rascal King?
Yeah.
All right, here we go. From Olivia Claire. Mocha was featured already, but here's Chloe. She's rude and fat, but an absolutely beautiful cat.
I love that for her. She's rude and fat. You're so mean to your own cat.
Nice. I like that.
Nice glasses.
All right. That is adorable. And...
I'm such a Redditor for this, but I love overweight cats.
Chonky.
Chonky
the
cats.
chonkers.
All right, we got a couple more here. Let's get rid of that. Let's do one more. Let's do two more. Here's Winston from Not Your Average Josh on Twitter.
I had a dog named Winston when I was growing up.
Did you?
Yeah.
Amazing.
Is this a corgi?
Looks like a corgi.
Yeah.
Yep.
Not a corgi though.
Yeah.
Oh, I responded to this one. I said, Winston is an awesome looking pup. There we go. And then we got one more here. This is from Tom Yabo on Twitter. We know him. Here we go.
What's the name?
Look familiar?
Oh.
Yes.
Yeah, I know.
Okay.
I know that dog.
I had no idea.
Yes. Thank you. That is.
Thank you.
It doesn't.
I won't name docs.
Yeah, it doesn't. It doesn't list names. It says Sophie is because I said he's on the list. It says Sophie is stoked, so it must be Sophie.
Oh, yeah.
Adorable.
I don't know how much we could divulge, but I know that dog.
Yes.
You made the list.
All right, guys, if you have pets, you can send them in to #PCCPets. I am going to try and get to all of them, but it's a long list. It's backed up. We're doing a couple each day, but it's they're adorable, so please do go and submit them there. Before we get started today, could you like this video and subscribe to this channel if you have not done so already? We are pushing towards 60,000 subscribers, so thank you very much for that. Also, remember, all Super Chats, $20 and over, we will interrupt the discussion. We will read them right then and there. I think the last few days, we've done pretty good about getting right back on topic as soon as we're done without losing our train of thought.
Yesterday was a lot.
Yesterday was a lot. But we are happy to do it. We are happy to keep trying. So let's get right into this, guys. All right. So, Tom Hanks, you might know him more importantly as Chet Hanks' father. That's really why he matters,
how I
right?
know him.
Chet Hanks' father opposes censorship of old books. He says, we're all adults here.
You might know Tom Hanks from the movie Big, in which he is not an adult here.
Yes.
He's a child in an adult's body.
I wish they used that picture as like the picture for him saying that.
It was also, yeah,
Such a
we're all
missed
adults here.
opportunity. It would have been so funny.
Which was also a really creepy movie, obviously.
I never saw Big.
He, I have seen it, and I was a kid at the time, so I guess I didn't understand at the time how creepy this was.
Yeah.
Or I didn't understand the implication, but while he is a child, mentally, he has sex with an adult woman who knows that he's a child.
Yep. It's weird.
And it was passed off like it was totally normal.
Yep.
And romantic.
It's kind of like that scene at the end of Blank Check where the 35-year-old FBI agent kisses the 12-year-old boy and says, like, look me up on your 18th birthday.
Wow.
Honestly, the big example is worse, but yes, there was a lot of sussy content like that.
It was the 90s. It was the 90s. Like everything bad that's ever going to happen in the world now is just going to be laughed off with. It was the 90s. Are you kidding me? It was a different time.
So he's making a novel, or is it an autobiography? Called The Making of Another Major Motion Picture Masterpiece.
Yep. He says, he says, I am of the opinion that we're all grown-ups. Let's have faith in our own sensibilities as opposed to having somebody else decide what we may or may not be offended by. Let me decide what I'm offended by and what I'm not, or what I'm offended by and what I'm not offended by. I wouldn't be against reading any book from any era that says abridged due to modern sensitivities.
Yeah, he would be.
I would be, yes.
Yeah.
It's all the old and gray stars in the entertainment industry that are talking about book censorship specifically
because they're the only
right
ones
now.
reading.
Well, maybe that, but also they obviously come from a different time and a time of different sensitivities.
Dinosaurs.
But I don't really respect it because
he wants Epstein's flight logs to be censored.
Well, that's one thing. I mean, Tom Hanks has been on the Epstein flight logs. Never addressed that.
Wayfair.
I'm sure he's really into buying cabinets from Wayfair.
Yes.
Named someone's legal name.
And
he was the first celebrity to come out as having COVID.
Getting COVID
back in 2020. Which seemed like a psyop at the time as well.
He is, however, kind of he's
a reptilian.
He's the exception to the rule as somebody who's been married for 35 years.
I feel like that's just like you have too many secrets and on each other.
Well, that's the thing. That's why Will Smith and Jada are still married.
Right.
Untangling
That's a
all
money thing,
I'm saying untangling all the financial assets is just too much work, right? But for Tom Hanks, I mean, he did give us Chet Hanks, so he's got at least one
he
good
gave
thing
us
going.
one thing worthwhile in the world.
Keeps on giving. I'm so grateful for Chet Hanks in this world.
Yeah.
Just the fact that Chet Hanks exists and that he found Jamaican culture is just like, you can't make that up.
We
it's
were
the greatest
just
story.
discussing Jamaican culture because of Under the Sea in
the
new Little Mermaid movie.
Nice. I haven't even seen that.
They still left him with his Jamaican accent, which was considered offensive for a long
problematic.
time.
Yeah, everyone has to be whitewashed. Everyone has to be exactly the same.
They should have cast Chet Hanks as that voice actor.
That would have been freaking amazing.
What the hell? Such a
I
missed
would've loved that.
opportunity.
Yeah.
Dude, and then they just CGI his head on him.
Yeah,
that'd be great.
Like, I wonder
wish.
how Tom Hanks feels about the censoring of video of movies. Then, like, I'm assuming
he probably is like, oh, that's not happening. He would just completely hypocritically deny it.
Yeah.
And hypocrite Steven Spielberg also was featured in this article saying basically the same thing. I mean, he self-censored. We talked about this somewhat recently with gun violence that was in the movie E.T.
Yes, well, not even gun violence, but perceived possible gun violence that could have happened.
The threat of gun violence, more accurately.
Well, what about walkie-talkie violence? That's what I want to talk about.
Yeah, they're gonna kill E.T. with walkie-talkies. I mean, that's crazy because like when I watched E.T. as a kid, the entire like suspenseful moment of them like raiding the house is that you think they're gonna shoot him.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
So
they're not going to be like, stop
what is
there!
the point of
like,
the suspenseful climax of the movie anymore?
You know what they could do? They should just totally go the opposite direction, and instead of like changing it back, make walkie-talkies that shoot bullets.
Yeah.
They could just do that. Also, like beyond that, for these things, for censorship in books and movies, I just find that there is a divide here between the older and the younger audience, or I'm sorry, the older and the younger celebrities. But that's because I don't think that the older celebrities know how bad it is.
No, they're like unplugged.
Yes.
They're not nearly as plugged in as people our age are at all.
Like, I don't think that he realizes how much these companies are actually censoring and how much these companies are actually changing works. Like, he might get asked these questions at an interview, but I don't buy that he's looking into it that deeply.
Right. Yeah.
Which I think as someone of cultural relevance, you kind of have a responsibility to speak out on it, maybe. Like, I rarely say that.
I don't know about he has a responsibility to do that, but I do believe that he has a responsibility to be as informed as possible about the stuff he chooses to speak about, I guess.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think so, since he is speaking out now.
Yeah.
But I feel like he probably would hypocritically support so many other forms of censorship that this condemnation of it is meaningless. And Steven Spielberg's condemnation of it is also meaningless since he was a perpetrator of censorship.
I guess he has managed to remain friends with Tim Allen all these years later. Wow. Like he's avoided having to like decry Tim Allen as far as I remember.
Grandfathered in.
Yeah, like
that's how it always is.
I used that phrase yesterday. Okay, so Kellen started like a topic on Twitter talking about whether the show House could get made today, because me and him are frequently talk about how it would not be possible.
Were you guys talking about it because people keep comparing it to The Good Doctor
on Twitter
right now?
I think it came up.
Everyone's like, we already had the best show about an autistic doctor that disrespects trans people.
Same creator.
You can't just do it again.
Yeah. So some person's like, that argument's weak. Haven't you seen shows like Succession? All the characters are horrible. I'm like, not in the same way.
They're horrible and not charming.
Yes. It's like, but somebody even pointed out, they're like, horrible to who?
They're also not funny.
Yes. But like in that argument, somebody says, what about It's Always Sunny in Philadelphia? I shouldn't, the person seemed fairly respectful. I shouldn't put a funny voice to it. Said like, what about Always Sunny in Philadelphia? They're awful. I'm like, they actually gave an interview, either the stars of Always Sunny in Philadelphia or the creators gave an interview where they said, we're allowed to do this because we've basically been grandfathered in because we existed before the cultural shift. The same is true of South Park.
Yeah, definitely.
They're allowed to still do it, and they've still toned it down.
When you watch House, do you feel like you are supposed to hate House?
That's a complicated question.
I don't like anti-hero.
Yes, no, he's an anti-hero.
You're not supposed to hate him, right?
You're not supposed to like him.
With Succession, I think that the intention is that you are equally hateful of all the characters because none of them have redeeming qualities or redeeming motivations.
House has in the way of redeeming qualities, he has the tenacity to save lives, even if the reason he saved lives are selfish.
And also say things that other people aren't willing to say.
Yes. And even when he saves lives, he doesn't do it for noble reasons. He does it because selfishly he needs to get the right answer. Right.
And he's funny, which is a key factor there.
And in a lot of ways, he kind of came about at a time where a lot of people would have liked to have been able to speak to their bosses or their coworkers like that. And he kind of taps into that wish that I think everybody might have to be the smartest guy in the room and be able to act accordingly, because you do get treated with you get held to a different standard if you have an undeniable ability to provide something that other people cannot provide. Right.
Yeah.
So but I don't believe that they could make that show today. But I don't know if that gets grandfathered in too. Also, because bringing back House wouldn't be the same thing as making a new show like it with a character that acts like him.
Well, the issue is that in The Good Doctor, that protagonist doesn't act anything like House.
Yeah. No.
He's extremely fragile.
And it's funny too because they actually make a point. There is an episode of House where they float the idea of him having Asperger's, and Cuddy basically shuts him down and says it's a much simpler solution. He's an asshole.
Before people wanted labels like that.
Yes, exactly. Like, I mean, back then you would hear such crazy lines as "I don't want to be seen as a victim," which nowadays nobody would ever say anything like that because victimhood is currency in today's society.
House started in what year?
2004.
Yeah.
So it was like on that tail end of the irreverent era where we have like ebbs and flows. People say that there was actually somewhat of a like sensitivity era in the 80s and 90s that was then replaced in maybe the mid 90s with a more irreverent one.
Right.
And that we just do this
South Park has an episode
back
about
and
this.
forth throughout at least the modern era.
Society responds to what the actual culture in the world is like. I mean, a lot of people believe that shows like This Is Us were born out of like fear of society after Donald Trump became president. Like shows like that, things that they call bathtub television, were designed to comfort people in times of uncertainty.
90210 feels like a high like sensitivity show. Yeah. That was like, let's like address in a PSA fashion the issues teens are facing right now. I mean, especially like teen pregnancy media too.
Yeah.
Even shows like One Tree Hill had a lot, like they had a school I remember that show. Pew Pew episode. And stuff like that. And they covered drugs
with Drake.
No, that was Degrassi.
Oh yeah, Degrassi did it though.
Yes.
So that was
like,
the late 2000s.
Yeah.
Yep.
Still the greatest meme of all time is the Drake and it's his character and it says they see me rolling. It says last name walking, first name never.
Wheelchair Aubrey.
Bad times. The culture was bad. So Tom Hanks doesn't win any points from us. A broken clock can be right twice a day. Mm-hmm. You can give us Chet Hanks and you can decry censorship as bad. That's your twice a day. That's 12 and 12.
Colin Hanks basically cancels out Chet.
Like I said, it's a fascinating. I actually view them. I view them as a perfect argument as to why we will never be able to have a truly socialist or communist economy or world. Because look, if you can't even give birth to two kids that turn out radically the same, if the same man can give us both Colin Hanks and Chet Hanks, how can we really expect to live in a world where everyone is treated equally and comes out the same? Doesn't make any sense.
Good point.
May the Bert be with you.
Yes. Well, that's true. All right. Like, look, do you think this is the type of thing where if it was his movies being censored, that he would push back on it?
Maybe. I mean,
like it's like in the case
he doesn't have
like,
principles. Let's just
not
pretend that he does.
Spielberg said that he called his own self-censorship a mistake.
Yeah.
Which is like that's one thing.
Yeah.
But I don't know.
Does this happen in music? Is there an equivalent to this in music?
I've seen
Lizzo.
Music. I guess music. It's changed, right?
I actually saw a YouTube short the other day. I was watching shorts like we all do. I just got scrolling. And I watched something about Snoop Dogg being asked on
AI.
Not AI. He was asked about his music and how problematic it was in the 90s.
It wasn't the Shade Room. I know.
It was. I think it was Sway.
Were there do you regret your misogynist?
It was a Charlemagne. I think.
He's like, do you regret your misogynist lyrics?
Yes.
And
he was like, no, I don't. Because,
F these hoes.
Yeah, right. Because in reality, which is what is being said here as well, is like that was like a signpost at the era and the time, and that was what I was like during that time, and that's what was okay at the time. Yeah. And like, I'm not gonna retcon my music. Like it would just be. It doesn't make any sense. It doesn't make sense to me. But
maybe in a lot of ways, we didn't consider the fact that we would enter an era like. Imagine like it's the 80s, right? And you're making movies, your movie comes out in theaters and then it comes out on VHS and it's kind of out of sight, out of mind. Maybe you watch it every once in a while, but you're not rewatching outside of like a hit like a Star Wars, maybe you rewatch on a regular basis. Right. But now with entertainment being so easily accessible, it feels more omnipresent than it did back then.
Yeah, it's everywhere.
So the question of whether it would need to be censored was never relevant till now.
maybe.
Yeah, that's a good point.
I don't know.
It's a good point. It's way more accessible too. Like anyone can watch it. There's no real
That's
like.
how it's been on Disney.
I was
Plus.
I was watching old Doctor Who last night, and back in the day, that wouldn't have been something that you could easily find or have access to without.
Even when I first went to university in 2010, it wasn't easy to just do that. You had Netflix, but it wasn't nearly to what it is today. There wasn't Hulu. There wasn't Amazon Prime Video. There wasn't like every possible. And there wasn't Paramount Plus. There wasn't. It just wasn't a thing.
Every time I watch Paramount Plus, I feel like I'm being a contrarian. I do. I'm like, I feel like I'm doing it just because I'm not like the other kids. Even if that's not why I'm doing it, I feel like I'm going through. I feel like Paramount Plus is me going through a rebellious phase in streaming. Same with Peacock.
Totally.
Same with Peacock. I'm like, oh man, I don't need Netflix. I don't need Hulu. Even though I watch Hulu more than I watch any of the others. But I think that just may be a fashion of taste. Like everyone's gonna have one where their interest gets drawn to more readily. Yeah. So I don't know. Censorship is a question we're going to have to continue to worry about because it's going to continue to be in the hands of like the richest and wealthiest people, and it's going to be consistently consolidated down to smaller and smaller groups. Eventually it will not be like we actually talk a lot about how there's a lot of choices right now, but there's really not. Five sounds like a lot when you're paying for 5 streaming services, but only being able to get your media from 5 major conglomerates is not really a whole lot.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, that's why YouTube is so popular.
Yeah.
You know,
People should steal more.
Somebody clip that.
Yeah, that was a good one.
Genuinely, why shouldn't they? Give me one good reason. I'm waiting.
I'm cool with it. As a person who's in electronic music, like I think that stealing, aka sampling, aka repurposing things is totally fine.
Disco Jensen.
Thumbs up for theft.
Yeah, let's do it, guys.
Disco Jensen says, came back to hear Doctor Who mentioned. Did it get worse? No, I'm watching Christopher Eccleston Doctor Who right now. I'm not watching Jodie Whittaker.
I loved it so much. I love Doctor 9 so much.
Tenet, right?
No, that was before Tenet.
He's 10. I'm telling you, I'm loving
Tenet. Is it Tenet or Tenet?
Tenant.
David Tennant.
Tennant, I think. Yeah.
So it's I love the cinematography from that time period because it was just so funny when they didn't have the CGI budgets that they have now. They had to make so much more work with so much less.
I liked it.
It's great.
Yeah.
So. All right, we got some super chats there. Mary.
James Orenthal Wynn said, "Forget Tom Hanks, Richard Dreyfuss for Shaft."
I'm down. If they're gonna remake Shaft, let's just have Richard Dreyfuss do it.
No more remakes. Shane H. Wilder said, "No, why? Can we just memory hole Barney to the section of our brains meant only for horrible fever dreams?"
I have no such negative
Well, I never
association
watched
with
Barney because I wasn't allowed to watch PBS.
Your parents were smart. Likely very smart. Like I have no such close attachment to Barney one way or the other. I remember it being on in the background, but I don't remember myself caring about it much.
Isn't PBS the NPC logo?
Yes.
Yeah,
it is.
Wait, what?
If you look at the PBS logo, it's just the NPC meme.
Like literally.
What? That's not how I remember it.
Google.
Google
it was like a little green face, right?
No, it's not green. Face. Maybe it was green back then.
It's like
it's
the
gray
NPC
now.
face. Yeah. Like it's crazy. The resemblance is uncanny.
Yep. I'll look it up later. Overdressed said, "Cringe girl feels like cringe fetish."
Is that a thing? Are there people who fetishize cringe?
The girl in the video.
Yeah, I know. Is that a thing? Is there she's doing it for people who are like need the cringe?
Yeah, I don't remember anything nowadays.
I must be popular.
Not sexually.
Yeah.
Wayward Soul said, "I met someone who only ever heard 'I love you' from Barney growing up, and it meant a lot to them. No, it wasn't me. Shut up."
Well,
I hope it wasn't you.
I hope it wasn't you.
That's sad.
Let's read one more.
Okay.
We hope that wasn't you, but let's read one more and then we will move on.
It is I said, "You guys don't know me, but I listen to you guys fairly regularly. In a sense, I think of you guys and Tim as friends in one way conversation. Fan of all 3 of you, and Brett, doubt yourself less."
I will work on that. And thank you for listening whenever you can. That's always good. Thank you very much. Do you guys feel that way about podcasts you listen to? Like do you feel like you not know them, but it's like a lot of times we talk about how podcasts have become a way for people to basically it's a substitute for conversation for a lot of people.
Not really.
Well, I posted a meme about it on my Twitter yesterday about how musicians are always plagued by I'm gonna make this and put so much time into this, but no one's gonna listen to it, and like I don't know.
Oh, you did? I saw that post.
Yeah. Like, what's the point of doing this? But then in the podcast, like, there's just it's like these 3 Chad dudes.
It's just one laptop plugged in with like 3 microphones.
Yeah, it's hilarious. And like, dude, I was at the supermarket and this girl took so long packing the things. The guy's like, oh, dude, I hate that. He's like, yeah, man, it was terrible. She was like, dude, and he has another complaint. She's like, oh, I hate that, man. Like, and that's it. Like, they don't care if, whatever. But so that's not really the point. But the point is that, like, do we have like a parasocial relationship with these people? I guess so. Like, you get to see how they are in real time.
Okay.
Like how they react to things.
Well, it's like how if you're friends with older people, you've heard their stories a million times. If you listen to someone's podcast for long enough, you've heard all of their stories and you know way too much about them, and you can predict what they're about to say.
But I will be fair. Like, I actually responded. I did the wrong thing recently, and I responded to a comment where basically somebody made like a very, very specific and, in my opinion, wrong judgment of like they did like a moral judgment of my character, or like what they.
Well, what was it?
Basically, they were actually making it seem like I wanted to like look at everything. Like, my positivity meant that I didn't understand like any type of struggle, or that I was pretending that everything was okay, and like they're talking about value judgments about all these things, and I'm like, just because
It's reading into it way too much.
Yeah, I was like, you can't make that type of judgment about a person based on, you may have heard me talk about even if you listen to every episode, and every episode was 2 hours, so you've got over 1,000 hours of listening to me talk. Per se, like, assuming you listen to every single minute of it, you've only heard me speak about a very, very specific range of topics in a setting that's still, in certain ways, a performance in a lot of ways. Like how I talk here has to project differently than how I may or may not be heard off air, right? So you can't really, in my opinion, make those value judgments about a person's character based on their performance on something like this. Like, I wouldn't deign to do it to anyone else. Like, I wouldn't make a moral judgment of anybody's character based on how they speak in their podcast, because I know that that's not an accurate representation of the world they may live.
Right.
So,
yeah.
All right. Let's move on, guys. Shall we? Let's move on. Hollywood, ladies and gentlemen, Hollywood has a violent rhetoric problem from its female celebrities. I do believe this to be true, and we're gonna point it out with a couple of articles here. Mary, would you like to start with Charlize Theron, or would you like to start with Sandra Bullock?
Charlize Theron.
All right, let's get into Charlize Theron. She says she vows to F up anybody who's trying to F with LGBTQ people.
Yeah, how about you just show the video? This is from a fundraising campaign that she's sponsoring, called Drag Isn't Dangerous.
This one here in the Breitbart article. All right, here we go, guys.
My friends, yes, we love you, queens. We love you, queens. In your corner, and we've got you, and I will fuck anybody up who's like trying to fuck with anything with you guys. It's really, in all seriousness, there's so many things that are hurting and really killing our kids, and we all know what I'm talking about right now. And it ain't no drag queen. Because if you've ever seen a drag queen lip sync for her life, it only makes you happier. It only makes you love more. It makes you a better person.
How does it make you a better person?
Fuck, if I could do a death drop right now, I would. But I would probably like break my hip. But, do it. And I,
do it. Yeah, do
it. Listen, I want to ask everybody out there, please support all the great organizations that are out there helping all of this nonsense going away like it should. All of these incredibly stupid policies. Bye. Bye.
I wish we could get rid of the stupid policies. You're right. I wish we could get rid of all those stupid policies. I just think we're talking about different ones.
Well, I wouldn't know how it makes I'm not. It doesn't make you a worse person either. How does it make somebody a net positive, like a better person? Again, this is just
doesn't matter.
This is just rhetoric. And let's face it, what's at odds here are the extremely vile words of "I would F someone up." They don't see the contradiction in terms.
Well, they said these policies are killing our kids. I think we all know what I'm talking about right now.
Yes.
As if she is not like threatening people in the audience for this video after a certain tragic event in Nashville happened.
Yeah.
Like,
well,
it's just not contextually adding up.
Yeah,
to me.
It's also like I don't know. It's just such a weird thing to it just seems so weird to like use other people's struggle as if it's your own, no matter what, to be like, I totally, there's so many great things coming out of this, all things that are LGBTQIA2+ and counting. It's like, it's just a weird thing to just put it on yourself.
$20 one right there.
Old Warrior 34 said, one day late on this, but Robert De Niro is joining Alec Baldwin in Never Shooting Blanks.
Well, if you if you, that's
but
the
he's
whole
creating
point.
life instead of ending one.
Yes, and if you listen to our crisis party today, you will again hear Alec Baldwin not shoot blanks.
The point here is Charlize Theron is a Munchausen's mom who has a trans kid. She's adopted 2 black children, which is common of a lot of psychopaths
Quite
in
odd
Hollywood.
as an African lady. But
Yeah, Madonna has like literally been accused of kidnapping African children to adopt them.
Yeah.
Here's this tweet that says, all you need to know about Charlize Theron regarding oldest adopted child Jackson, quote, he looked at me when he was 3 years old and said, I'm not a boy. So there you go. I have 2 beautiful daughters. She is insane.
3-year-olds are known for their foresight and their
reasoning.
She dresses them up in ballet costumes.
I'm sure she does.
And tutus and stuff like that, and pink.
Wow.
So it's just like all the things that you can't put on actual female daughters anymore. The color's pink, anything feminine.
Right.
You can put on your trans kid, no problem.
Yeah, that lady is something else for me.
And you know, drag is supposed to be something entirely different from gender transition.
Yes, nothing.
But yet it's always mentioned in the same breath.
Well, in the same
so I
way
went
that they...
to the Drag Isn't Dangerous website to do a little research into what this is, and basically they're doing a fundraiser telethon, and it was to raise funds for something called the Black Queer Town Hall. Hashtag Drag Isn't Dangerous, but political attacks are. It mentions here, this says, a significantly more dangerous series of bills are the ones seeking to ban age-appropriate medically necessary care to transgender youth under the age of 18.
Wow.
And it's just so clear what the real agenda is here.
Yep.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
My big complaint about all this is like, why are the women allowed to be so verbally, clearly violent,
literally,
like with violent tendencies? Between her and what Sandra Bullock said, which Sandra Bullock said that she said, I'll F you up. She said she threatened a co-star for making lewd jokes about Harvey Weinstein. Look, I'm going to let you in on a little secret. Threatening to physically harm someone is not a valid response to somebody telling lewd jokes.
It's because
Especially
women
about
in
someone
Hollywood are drunk on power.
Yes.
Yeah, definitely.
So, and they want it to be under the appearance of the compassionate, nurturing, mothering,
which is
type
way more dangerous
archetype. I mean, for Drag Isn't Dangerous, they raised $586,000 for this fundraiser and didn't go to anywhere near that effort to raise money for the families of the victims of the shooting in Nashville.
No, not
They
at all.
didn't care about those people.
Wow. Yeah.
They cared about people who adopted a victimhood status to become more marketable. But anyway, with the Sandra Bullock story, it's just weaponizing Me Too.
Well, that's the thing. What they're doing is they're taking the victimhood veil that they've been given, right? They're taking it and they're taking all of these things that have now afforded them great power in the industry, and they're using it to bludgeon men the same way that men used to bludgeon other people when they were the ones who had all the power in Hollywood. And I'm annoyed by the fact that it's one thing that when men...
Hold on,
when
we need to like actually say what she said about it. It was about a time on Bird Box when she forewarned her male co-stars not to, cross the line. She said, I know you're scared, but I feel safe, so you can make some jokes now. But if you cross the line, I will F you up.
What is the line, and why do I have to appease you?
Right.
Kick
The
rocks.
line is intentionally ambiguous.
And vague.
So if you cross it, she has the power in her industry to make sure that you never work again.
So be scared, she's saying. Be
Yeah.
scared of me. Be scared of who I am. Be scared of the power that I wield over you while complaining about men in power.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
I think that's what it really was. It's they didn't want equality. They wanted to supplant the patriarchy
They want
and
power.
give us a gynocracy, as it's called.
Gynocracy. Wow.
She had to protect herself from sexual jokes and harassment while filming. Well, are those the same thing? Are sexual jokes the same thing as harassment?
Depends on the day. Depends on her mood.
Yes.
Has she had her coffee that day?
Yeah.
Yeah. It's like she has that mug that's like, you can make sexual jokes around me.
But first, coffee.
But first, coffee.
But
But
first,
it has like the notches on the.
Yeah.
So
Yeah,
if
how
she's
much she
done with her
drank.
coffee,
Yeah.
you can make some jokes. But if she hasn't had her coffee yet, you're never working in this town again.
I mean that is toxic feminism.
Yeah.
All of this is toxic
But
feminism.
I understand why Hollywood women hate men. I do, because they work with the worst men.
Yeah, they had to work with
Possible.
Mr. Weinstein for so long.
Not only Weinstein, but also just the most effeminate, catty, underhanded,
Yep.
whiny,
Most women like men.
still doesn't
like
mean they-
backstabbing
Yeah.
men in any industry, I imagine. Maybe besides
Yeah,
fashion.
but it's still hypocritical because they're the worst of women, as far as I'm concerned. I don't find them to be any
Most
better.
of the time, yeah.
Yeah, so they deserve each other, but we shouldn't be suffering the consequences of these scumbags basically going back and forth. I'm in power for a couple of years. Now I'm in power for a couple of years. Look, when they were mad at the Hollywood executives because they were scumbags who behaved like scumbags, that makes sense. They're in power, and the people in power were never saying, or at least didn't feel like those CEOs are saying like, oh no, I'm not a bad guy. Everyone knew they were the bad guys, and they just stayed quiet about it. They kept it to their inner circle, and they didn't talk about it. Now they're saying, oh, you're the bad guy, I'm the good guy, while also being the bad guy.
Yeah, I was talking about this yesterday because we covered Elizabeth Holmes. Do you know anything about Theranos?
Yes, she's the blonde lady that did
She, like,
scammed a lot of people. If you wanna
Created
call it
this
that.
scam. You could do 1 drop of blood to do all your blood testing needs, and
Right.
it was not a real product for the entire time that she
Genius.
ran that business.
Genius.
She must be a genius, actually.
Yeah.
But I was saying, like, this became a Hulu series and was immediately a story that Hollywood jumped on because they know that there's a taboo around addressing women's capacity to do wrong, to do evil, and like the monstrousness that they're capable of, which is often psychological. And that's taboo, and it draws people in and is more marketable than the rest of the time that we're deluding ourselves that, you know, all women have solidarity and
they're all
women are all well-meaning
innocent
girl
flowers.
bosses, but also innocent flowers who are constantly held down in every industry.
I love how it's like simultaneous, like double think of saying like, oh, everyone's unique and everyone's special, and you have to be accepting everyone being unique and everything. But if you don't fall in line and do exactly as we do, you know, like you better watch
Yeah.
yourself and check your 6 at every corner you are. And it's such a weird. It like doesn't make any sense to me.
As if they wouldn't understand that mindset would go to other aspects of
Right.
their life too,
Right.
not just the one they're talking about.
It's so
It goes all the
so
way back
weird.
to high school for all of them.
For the women,
Some people never
especially,
leave high
like
school.
that, for the women and the effeminate Hollywood men who love that type of gossip, yeah, it's basically just mean girl behavior.
Yeah.
All of this, but it's mean girl for the sake of power. So you should be critical. Anytime some celebrity says, oh, this person's bad, sure, they could be the one celebrity in history that's actually a good person with good intentions, or they could just want their job. Or they could just want to profit from bringing this person down.
I think
Yeah.
there's another aspect to this, that these are women in Hollywood who have seen themselves in like overpowered positions on screen, like played roles of women who are more powerful than they are in real life, and they start to believe it. Like, especially women in action films who beat up men who are twice their size, or FBI agents, or far more competent than they are in real life.
Oh, that's
Then
my
They
favorite.
really start to believe that that's possible, that that's them.
Yeah.
And it fools them over time, so they start making threats like this.
I mean,
But
we've seen plenty
they're-
of examples of women who don't realize that you can't just beat up a dude who's 6'5".
Everyone knows that when a man makes threats like this, like I'll F you up.
Yeah.
Somebody recently said that we're all aware of, that it's because he's been emasculated and he's not as powerful as he wants you to think.
Yeah.
It's the same thing when it comes from a woman.
The difference is when a guy makes that threat, he has to deal with the threat of actually getting punched in the face, and the women in Hollywood don't have to deal with that threat. They get to hide behind the fact that they know that nobody's going to fight back with them.
Right. It's like when you see a guy abusing a girl, you hate it because you know that she's not physically capable of fighting back.
Yep.
It should be the same when you see a woman in a position of power in her business talking down to people less powerful than her and abusing her power.
Exactly.
It's not physical prowess that she has.
No, definitely not.
It's, in fact, it's probably greater in magnitude than if she were just able to beat them up.
Yeah.
Right, and you think that like these things of like being in these movies, if anything, I've always thought this, like it's weird how actors, they realize that they're in a movie and they're acting, right? It's like it's fake, right? Like they're not actually like saving the world from any existential threat. It's like you think that they would realize like I can't actually fight a dude who's like 6'5" and whatever. I can't actually do these things. I'm not actually like the best shot in the world. But I think that just kind of like at some point it becomes like, oh, I really do think these things. And
Well, a lot of them
their
also
sense of ability.
They put like this idea on their art that they're saving the world with their art, so it's almost that, which is almost cringier and more annoying. Like when they feel like they're saving we're saving the world by making this blockbuster movie.
Dude,
like you're not saving the world.
Imagine
you're not accomplishing any great thing. You're making art you're making commerce in the form of art, and you're selling a product, and that's fine. You don't need to sell me on telling me, by making this movie, we're truly making a statement for the oppressed people of society. We're helping women. We're helping those who are downtrodden. Just tell me it's a good movie and that it's worth seeing. Sell me on it with a trailer. That's all you need to do. I've literally, fun fact, very few people in the history of the world have ever gone to a movie because they thought it was making the world a better place. I would imagine that anybody who says they're doing that is lying.
Well, if they say they're doing that, they might be telling the truth. It's because they're an awful.
Yes.
Yeah.
An affluent white woman. Yes. Yeah.
Affluent white woman,
like that's just not fun. It's not funny. It's not fun. Nobody wants to go watch movies to save the world. They want to go watch movies to escape.
It would be cool if they did. If they were able to save the world with a movie.
No, it wouldn't.
That would be nice.
I don't even think that would be cool, because then the art would change and then people would be making movies for different reasons. I don't even like that concept.
It'd be nice if they, in reality, were capable of changing anything.
Well, they got people quit smoking, so maybe
movies don't actually have the power to do that.
You can make social change with
it. In fact, if they got people to quit smoking by not putting it in films anymore, that was a bad thing, because we were better off when we had smoking sections.
Yeah, it's like a natural selection kind of thing. You know what I mean? It's one of those things, like if you choose to do it,
no,
like
smoking's actually good for you. I'm kidding. But
I mean, there is.
I mean, it's definitely not as bad as they say. I mean, come on.
There can be things said about the cognitive benefits
of
nicotine. You could say that there are cognitive benefits of nicotine, which are true and real. And if you do have
Riz benefits,
I'm disavowing all of this section of this segment. I'm disavowing.
Oh, now Brett's willing to moralize about the cigarettes.
Well, I mean, as well.
No, I'm disavowing. I'm not throwing my hat in the other direction. I'm just saying I'm not
a smoker, by the way.
I've got a wrench to throw back in your direction here. If you have schizoaffective or schizophrenia, it is advised by your doctors to pick up vaping or smoking or nicotine patches, because it actually suppresses your hallucinations. Yeah, I had a roommate in my freshman year of university who found out and was diagnosed with I think it's schizoaffective. I don't know if he actually has schizophrenia now or what it was, but that was something that his doctor was like, "Yo, you should start smoking, dog. You should just
that's the only time you're going to hear that.
I think that's one of the only times you're going to hear that, yes.
There was an episode of House where he prescribes nicotine for irritable bowel syndrome.
That's right.
Really?
Yeah. There's
I
a
wonder
couple
if
things
that's actually a thing.
I don't know.
No, I think it is. There are a couple. I have a friend who has also. It's like I have all these friends, but I do have a friend who has IBS.
Oh man, you're just calling him out.
No, but
you're not naming.
What's his name?
Not naming names. He does smoke because he has.
We know that
he's
for
a guy. Long time.
Okay.
Yeah, he said that for a long time, and he said it makes it better for him, and he wishes he would stop, but he found that if he stops, it just gets worse and worse to the point where he's like, even if he's done it for like 6 months at a time, she's like, oh well, maybe it's just because I'm stopping, it's gonna be making it worse for a period of time. But he stopped for a long period of time, and then eventually he's like, no, this is just a better way for me to live my life.
He's gonna get lung cancer and be like, well, shit.
You know, you're gonna die anyway.
I also found this insane story that I wanted to mention. Just
I forgot
on the note of women being violent these days.
Oh, I remember that story.
Mormon mom accused of poisoning husband with fentanyl-laced Moscow Mule is seen promoting her kid's bereavement book a month before she was arrested for his murder.
Ugh.
Well, you know what's weird about that is she's a Mormon mom giving her husband a Moscow Mule, which is, in this case,
Not
I'm
allowed.
assuming an alcoholic beverage, which is very much not allowed.
Neither is fentanyl, for the
Neither
record.
is fentanyl,
But
surprisingly. Yeah, not allowed. So, I don't know about the whole story.
literally was selling her kid's book about grief and loss
Yep.
on a local TV station.
And the whole pitch just sounds so PR manufactured. She's like, we looked on Amazon for books about grieving and we couldn't find any. So I said, I'll write it myself, which just sounds like a PR person.
The books exist.
Yes.
You're just insane.
This. So wait, so you, if you're Mormon, you don't drink, you
can't have
smoke?
caffeine either.
Can't have caffeine,
Okay,
can't drink, can't
so-
smoke. So it's odd because, there's always the joke, like, if you're going to have a party, invite only one Mormon person because then they'll be the star of the party. But if you invite two of them, they're going to constantly, check each other and make sure that the person doesn't drink and whatnot and stuff like that. But yeah, it's like the joke is like, you think it's like if you invite one Mormon person, they'll drink all your beer. But if you invite two Mormon people, then they'll ruin the whole party because.
Have you had many Mormon friends?
I lived in Salt Lake for 9 years, so
Yeah.
I've interacted with a lot with Mormonism.
Do you feel like,
or the LDS church, I should say, rather.
yeah, do you feel like LDS culture, maybe from the outside perspective, would be more likely to have a situation like this where some super emotionally repressed stay-at-home wife would poison her husband? It's so stereotypical.
Yeah,
sounding.
it is. It definitely is. And I think a lot of my friends, when this is a while ago, I don't remember when this came out, or when the story came out, but it was a while ago. We're talking about it just makes sense. Like the Mormon mom who's probably on drugs from her doctor, because that's fine. That's just medication,
Mm-hmm.
Is just delusional enough to be like, yeah, this is a good idea. Maybe there's probably some mental illness there, thinking there's some grandstanding and
In this story, it says he got violently ill after she gave him something to drink 3 times before he finally.
She definitely tried to kill him previously.
That is.
She was upping the dosage, so it's super meditated.
That's
Or
premeditated.
Yep,
Pre-
and trying to write the book and everything like that.
Yeah,
So
she's
it's
writing
She was
the book.
damn it, I don't have enough money for all this fentanyl.
Yeah, basically
I have to keep buying more.
$900. She had to keep buying more.
Yep, keep telling her friends.
And then
And he
it would be her.
didn't, he had no idea.
No, he knew that. He said that he told his family. The reason that he took her out of the will was because he had a feeling that his wife was trying to
But he
off
would
him.
take the drink again.
Yeah.
That's the messed up part, man. If you're a real, I guess you'd call it. I don't know what you call yourself. If you're a real Mormon, you wouldn't be drinking Moscow Mules, bro. Come on, don't do
There's
that.
a point, but we're victim blaming.
Yeah, that's true. I'm not victim blaming the guy. So I don't know. It's just
But also,
the whole story is
it's also if she's saying that
wild.
she also says he had a drug problem, and all his family and friends are like, no, he didn't.
No, he definitely didn't.
He did not. So she's not only tried and succeeded in offing him.
Now claiming it's suicide.
Now she's besmirching his good name.
right.
In death, and that's awful.
Yeah, it's maybe she could have been saying
Awful.
that because of
She's awful.
the drinking. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
That could be a thing because that's definitely viewed as a big problem within the LDS faith. That's for sure. And I'm not trying to knock on any of my LDS viewers here. I know there are probably some, but yeah, we all know that that's not okay.
That story's
Yeah.
that story's crazy, dude.
Yeah, it's wild.
Poisoning people and drinking alcohol, both forbidden in the Mormon faith.
Somebody pointed this out. They said there's nothing behind those eyes in the blue picture.
No soul?
No soul.
I wouldn't have known.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know. It's just
Super
just
chat
looks-
time.
she looks.
Classically weird.
I mean, she doesn't look that way to me. She looks perfectly likable in the photos.
Camps is such a small town too, where
Is
this
it?
happened. It's just such a tiny town. It's it's a weird thing, and of course she has a classic Utah name like Cory. Could I say her name? It's Cory Richins, spelled Kouri. That's classic Mormon name of someone named Kaylee, but it's KEHIGHLEIGHANN.
Have you ever seen that meme? It's of all the girls they're all wearing blue and flannel and cowboy hats, and it's in the middle of fall. It's as if all the spellings of Ashley was a photo photo.
I think I've seen that
It's
one,
exactly.
Or Michaela.
Yeah,
Yeah,
it's,
or Michaela,
it's like
another good
all
one.
different spellings
Kaylee,
of all of
Michaela.
them. It's like anytime I see somebody, it's like Ashley and it's EIGH. I'm like, nope,
Yeah,
no,
yeah.
you are lying.
Yeah.
Like I was like, I don't even buy it if you tell me it's LEE. Like
The
man.
only correct one is ZY.
Yeah.
I could buy that there might be some younger girls that are coming, like maybe coming of age now with EE, because Ashley Simpson was a thing when their
True.
parents got together. But I'm not buying that anybody my age with the name Ashley with 2 E's is ever just no. Actually,
let's go to
Super
Super
Chats.
Chats.
Do it.
It's over 9,000 said, have you seen the movie Almost Heroes? It's a 90s comedy that stars Matthew Perry and Chris Farley as two Lewis and Clark wannabes who try to reach the Pacific Coast before the real Lewis and Clark do.
No, I've never seen that. That sounds amazing, though.
What?
It's Farley. It's gotta be kind of good.
That sounds amazing. I'm gonna have to go look that up.
Never heard of it.
Jimmy Bags 86 said, twins prove opportunity doesn't equal outcome.
Yeah, absolutely. That's the shorter way around to that answer. It's like, look, I'm from a family like me and my brother. We ended up in very different places in our lives, and I certainly am proof that my brother turned out perfectly well adjusted and normal, and I was a mess for a lot of years. So and we had great parents. Our parents loved us. There's just no guarantee that anybody's going to come out exactly the same, and trying to regulate outcome
you've
is
got
a fool's errand.
Chet and Colin.
Every time I just picture Chet pushing Colin Hanks into a locker at school. Don't you?
Chet got all the hose.
I do.
I see Chet with a backwards hat. He's not Chet, he's Chad. He's Chad Hanks at school, and he goes, "Oh, good one, Four Eyes," and just pushes Colin into a locker and locks it.
Other people I've met in my life that are named Chad are pretty normal people.
Poor
but
dude.
the people that I've met in my life that are named Chet are all just.
You've met Chets?
I've met 2 Chets in my life. And
Why
they're
have you met
they're
every
both bosses.
person?
I don't know. I've
Wait,
met a lot of people in my life.
What are the
actually.
Chets in your life like?
They're a lot like Chet Hanks.
Are they?
Yeah,
See,
they're not
You
as
just-
far as being Jamaican and think that they're rappers and stuff like that. I don't think they don't think that they're actual dance hall artists, but
Oh, we've got one from Joshua French. Mormons can have caffeine. They can't have coffee or tea. It's against the words of wisdom. So
Right.
many Mormons drink Coke Zero like it's going out of style.
Hey.
I thought that they weren't allowed to have soda either.
no, it's there's a okay, so from what I understand, it's because hot drinks apparently they can correct me on this. Hot drinks are apparently it's because it's boiling. It's bringing you closer to things that are it's unnatural, or it's something that's it's just.
I'm with them. I don't drink
But you-
coffee either.
It's
you boil soup.
right.
Wait, can they drink-
Can they
wait,
have
when
soup?
you cook food? It's just a weird thing.
But you can get iced coffee or
Yeah.
iced
I was gonna
tea.
say, can they drink iced coffee?
I don't know.
If it's
actually.
cold brew, because it's slow brewed, so they never heat it up.
So no coffee or tea, huh?
I think
I thought
so.
it was about the caffeine and the fact that it's a drug.
It is about caffeine, but then I think the person in the Mormon church, person who's a member of the church, bought a controlling share of Pepsi or something like that years ago.
So they gave him
No
a pass.
way.
There was this all could be a bunch of BS, so to speak, but. There definitely was an argument made too that because it's coffee and it's hot, it's bringing you closer to Satan's heat or something like that.
The heat
I'm
of
serious.
hell.
I'm serious.
When you
Yes, the
drink
heat of
coffee.
hell.
See, I can't,
This is just stuff that I remember
But if it's
from
iced
living in Salt Lake for
coffee-
10 years.
I just can't
Iced
drink
coffee
coffee.
is of God. Hot coffee of Satan.
Of Satan. Correct.
Confirmed.
Confirmed.
Martin Santiago.
I also want to shout out the Discord today, guys. If anyone's watching in the Discord,
What are they saying?
Just saying hello. I was just looking through a bit of it here, but yeah, just saying hi. Somebody says already loop me on who or what is Chet Hanks.
They don't know.
You don't
You
know
got
Chet
you got to
Hanks?
look up Chet
Imagine
Hanks.
not being an OG.
You gotta look up Chet Hanks.
Imagine not remembering Chet formations.
Yep. We used to, he doesn't do them anymore, so now we
Couldn't be me.
we can't do it anymore anyways.
Martin Santiago said, Doctor Who is done for me. They're trying to bring David Tennant back for a special to try and get viewers to return. Not going to happen. Yeah, I mean, they wasted all that goodwill and loyalty that they had from the fans, and it's over for them.
Yeah, and bringing David Tennant back is a cheap
I mean, I was
attempt
already
at member berries.
It was already getting boring before it got woke. That was the real problem.
Yep.
Like, it was getting boring, so they were losing viewership and losing hype, and they thought the solution was feminism. Like, I was bored during Capaldi.
Yep. I mean, that seems to be the number one take I've heard from people who watched it religiously said about Capaldi was just that.
I even got bored at some point during 12, like, with the storyline just getting so convoluted that it's impossible to follow or get invested.
Crisis Party.
Thank you.
I will tell you though, I really do believe. See, not shooting blanks. I will say that I do believe that the actress who plays Rose might have one of the most memorable faces I've ever seen. There's just something inherently charismatic and enchanting
She has
about
like
it.
strong eyebrows and big lips and like
but it's
sharp contrast, right?
Yes, and it's very enchanting, but
I
in
still
a way
remember.
that like when she's excited, you feel the excitement on her face. While it's also it's exotic, but it's not exotic. I don't know how to explain. I literally can't put into words what it is about her face that's so engaging. But that actress, I think her name's Billie Piper, is still doing. She was in Penny Dreadful. So yeah, like I'm enjoying watching that again.
Shane H. Wilder, Oats Red Swoon said, "Hi friends, I ordered too much food. I guess I'll save the rest for later. Anyway, nice talking to you. Call me if you want to hang."
Well, what kind of food did you order? That's the real question.
You're not going to send us the food?
That's
Okay.
a problem, man.
Brewmaster Monk said, "Drag is a more virtuous reaction to being abused as a child than unaliving oneself, but is still boring."
Thoughts?
Sad, but likely in a lot of cases true.
And let's do one more, and then we will move on.
Shane H. Wilder said, "The Charlize Theron video, I thought we already did cringe of the day."
Like, all it needed was for Chelsea Handler to appear in the background giving herself a mammogram, and it couldn't have been any worse. That much worse.
Scary.
All right, Mary, let's move on. Let us talk about Britney Spears.
Yeah.
my
Britney
favorite.
is off the deep end. Everyone knows it. This isn't news. But now TMZ is about to release a documentary about her downward spiral called The Price of Freedom that's coming out on Fox Nation, I think, on Monday. And
We get a $20 one right there that I think we
did?
missed. Yes.
oh, sorry. Martin Santiago said, "Episode skipped right when you read my super chat. LOL insane. Happened when Phil was on too. The algorithm kills me." I wrote hashtag bring back McCarthyism though. I got it.
No, he's saying that the episode skipped. The episode skipped. Like I did see like the timer thing show up on the screen for a second there, so we might have had a
Yeah, we
internet
said
issue.
people talking about it a little bit.
Okay.
But
Is it gone away now?
I think so, yeah.
But yeah, bring back McCarthyism. Get rid of the commies.
Yeah.
But do it the right way, yeah. Don't make it this weird Me Too thing. It's just not working.
So
not
the
right
biggest
target.
revelation here from this documentary, it sounds like, is that Britney is behaving erratically and staying up for days on end, 3 days at once.
I'm calling cap.
Supposedly, but because she has a caffeine addiction. It says,
too.
sources with direct knowledge tell TMZ that Britney guzzles Red Bull, Celsius coffee, and dandelion tea almost nonstop.
What?
I'm going to call cap.
She'll sometimes stay awake for 3 consecutive days. And they actually got the expert opinion of Dr. Drew,
What did he say?
who I love. He said that people with mental illness crave the high from these drinks,
Yes.
but
man,
they're
that's-
not
That is
healthy
true.
for
This
them.
really makes me want a caffeine drink.
And I agree that it's true and she could have a caffeine addiction, but that doesn't make you stay up for 3 days straight. That's insane.
It's very plausible that, in combination with manic episodes, that's possible. But I think the more likely outcome here is that there's drugs involved.
Worse than that is they revealed, sources also revealed she has just like a deathly fear of getting institutionalized
Which
again.
is valid.
And they say like keep her away from knives because she carries knives around or supposedly hides a knife under her bed at night thinking that somebody is going to break into her house and take her away on a gurney to an institution again.
I mean, I imagine she
Which
has
is
some
just straight
crazy
up,
nightmares.
Like PTSD.
Yeah.
Like
for
no
sure.
question about it. It's not because she's going to use that knife to like harm herself.
Nope.
At least I hope. But it's like she feels like she needs to defend herself. I hope she has security, or like better security than she had when she had her wedding, because
But even then,
at her wedding, her ex-husband, her first husband, literally barged into her house with no one to stop him. Like, it was unlocked and he just walked in and started filming himself.
Yep.
even then, the sad fact of this is that she's paying for security and that she just doesn't have anybody that actually cares about her.
Yeah.
And that's the real sad
I think
part
they
to me.
care. And I think that, honestly, I think even like Kevin Federline and their
Kids
kids
care.
who are reaching adulthood now, they care. But what can they even do at this point? It's out of their hands.
And the rest of them are yes men. The rest of the people in her life are yes men.
But you think that she's on drugs?
I think that
Possibly.
I think that other such substances are far more likely to keep you up for 3 days at a time. Believe me, I know.
Right. Yeah.
I don't think that pure like it could be also like if she's bipolar and she's having manic episodes in conjunction with these things, it's possible. But I think Occam's razor tells us that there's other things that involved here than just caffeine.
Yeah. People are also mad that TMZ is profiting off of her trauma by making a documentary. One comment on the trailer said, "What's more important, TMZ making money or someone struggling with mental issues not being dragged into the political spotlight?" But the thing is, like, she's been broadcasting all of this dysfunction herself on her own platforms, especially on Instagram.
Yeah.
All of her comment sections are off, and people are gonna go somewhere to talk about this. They're not just gonna ignore it. Yeah. She's been posting nonstop videos of her with very little clothing on. You said smearing cake on her face, waving knives around.
Man, this really makes me want caffeine now. Sounds like a great time.
She's just playing dress up and like in a manic episode in her house all the time. It doesn't seem like she leaves the house much.
And this is why my problem with not having people that care about her that are not her ex-husband and kids is that, look, the government shouldn't be going in there and telling her how to live her life, but it would benefit to have family members to at least be, or people that care about her, that genuinely care about her, that don't financially benefit from her in some way, to come in and say, look, are you okay? What's going on? Is there anything I can do to help?
I think the sad thing is that the people who did this to her aren't going to face consequences, namely her dad, after her conservatorship. Like, that's, I feel, what would actually make this like a just situation again.
Like justice and
it might give her some kind of peace, because she's posted it in the past, like expletive laden rants, just where she's just furious that this was allowed to happen to her. And I think the anger and the pain like really has like taken over, and she's just doing anything to ignore it at this point. So she's dancing around in her house in costumes.
Right. Yeah.
And it's hard to watch. Like, it's sad.
Like, I don't know what to think about it other than just it's a truly sad situation for somebody, especially when you look at like Christina Aguilera turned out fairly normal. I mean, besides the dancing around with the dildo on stage at an all ages show, she seems
there are degrees to
vaguely normal, right? Like, it seems like she turned out, if not normal, halfway like sane.
Halfway, yeah.
The take that I hate, I've said it before, but it's like, let her live in peace, stop talking about her. It's
Britney
all just
alone.
like, leave Britney alone all over again. You can't just tell people not to talk about something that they find interesting and about an internationally famous pop star who has been culturally relevant for decades, going through a public mental breakdown.
Like 20 years.
For 20 years. Yeah. Like,
almost 30 years.
You can't just tell people not to talk about it or not have opinions about it. Yep. I hate that. And also, to frame that as the compassionate thing, to just ignore that something is wrong, it actually lacks compassion entirely.
Man, does anyone just really want caffeine right now? Jeez, I'm gonna grab one. I need it.
Do it.
Go for it, buddy.
We have coffee.
You can do that. He can do that.
Yeah.
See, he's off screen now. There should be something in there. Yeah. See, like, we've literally like Pavlovian response. He's like, now I need the caffeine.
I'm super suspicious of Britney's husband, Sam Asghari. Still, I never thought that relationship was normal. Not just because of the age gap. The age gap's one thing entirely different from the rest of it. But like, like she has a solid prenup. So is he in it for the money? Is he in it for the attention?
It's a good question.
Just because it's a vibe right now. It's helping his public persona.
I mean, yeah, like it could be
more
as simple
people.
as that. It could be as simple
That's
as
so
that.
cynical. Like, can you imagine like the circle of hell you would go to for marrying this mentally ill, damaged woman to profit off of her trauma? Like, that's
sounds
insane.
Like Hollywood, you know?
He's not even 30 yet.
Yeah, 29.
Yeah.
Yeah. I don't know. Like, I don't know.
There
if
are
it's,
also claims in the documentary that she's gotten physical with him.
that I believe. I believe
violent.
Yes, I believe that 110%.
But they didn't really elaborate on it.
Like a good question would be like, what is his response to that? It's like all you can do is either just take it, call the cops, or like there's no good outcome to anything like that, especially when somebody's that manic, and you have to wonder like, what is the benefit for him? I mean, the hope would be that he really loves her, right? Like that we're just wrong.
But even if he does, it's like, why though?
Well, I mean, that's not really our place to say if he actually loves her.
It's not my
right?
place to say like why, but it's my place to ask. It certainly is my place to ask what's going on there. Like,
if he actually loves her, I think that there's worse things in the world to worry about than just. I think there's more important things in the world to worry about if he actually loves her than why he actually loves her.
I mean, my question is, why are they together?
No.
Like, contextually, nothing about it makes sense to me.
I don't know.
And it seems like it benefits him and not her. Like the relationship, and it doesn't seem like she's gotten any more stable since they've been together.
Yeah,
she had that miscarriage or pregnancy scare situation. We're not even sure if she was pregnant in the first place. It might have been totally in her head the whole time.
If there was an upswing in her temperament and she seemed to be more stable, you could make the argument, I guess, not knowing firsthand that he was good for her because he helped calm her down or helped keep her present. But
her contact with the rest of her family, including her children, has only gotten less frequent since they got together. Yeah. The kids weren't at the wedding. It's not because they were disinvited. They didn't want to be around. They don't support this direction that she's going in. Right. So I think from the inside,
it's just like it looks like a downward spiral. It
Yeah.
doesn't seem like it's like a I don't know.
There are
I
things
just
we
feel
don't know.
bad about it. I feel bad about the
That's
whole
my
thing.
take for most of it. Is like I don't know what to feel other than to just feel really bad for somebody who has to go through something so publicly.
Right. Being forced to. There's no way she can like not be Britney Spears.
Well, you don't have that option, right? It's one of the reasons that I actually don't. I give celebrities a lot of slack in the argument that when people make these, a lot of people make these arguments like, oh, they're rich and famous. What do they have to worry about? I'm like, they have their own things to worry about, right?
Yeah.
Like just because they're rich and famous does not mean that they don't have problems. They have plenty of problems. It's just that they're not problems that we can really grasp because we don't have them.
a lot of people in the comments here think that Harvey Levin at TMZ is being paid off by either Britney's father or Britney's father's lawyer, Lou Taylor, I think. They said Dr. Drew just did a reality show where he said Jamie Lynn saved my life. Weird. Also weird that he's happy to repeat talking points that sound like they came from Team Con. And then another comment said, this film was made by TMZ at the request of Britney's father. Her psychopathic father always worked with TMZ. He can't calm down because he didn't steal all the money from her, and he continues to abuse her with this movie. So this is just a conspiracy theory, I guess.
That's scary, though. That's even worse.
I'm guessing during the conservatorship had communication with TMZ to control her PR situation.
Well, yeah, they were very good at orchestrating those. I mean, they were very good at orchestrating.
Those relationships didn't end when the conservatorship ended.
We saw the same thing happen when Amber Heard gave TMZ a heads up that she was going to be coming to a courthouse and that there would be bruises visible on her face. And TMZ was all too happy to go and make sure to get the photos needed because they view the media as their vessel to the outside world so that they can portray whatever narrative they need to be spun at that given time. Again, another thing to prove that the life they live just is never going to be our lives. And as much as we make fun of them for being futile, for them to pretend like they understand what we're going through. In a lot of ways, it's also futile for us to pretend like we understand what the hell they're going through.
Right. Yeah.
And I think there's a blind spot on this side as to like, it's easy to hold them and to be contemptible towards them because you're like, oh, they've got money, so we can other them.
Right.
And nobody's saying they're good people, but we're saying that our struggles may not be known to them while they pretend that they are. We also, in a lot of ways, discount what they go through, and I don't think that that's right either.
Yeah, I think you're right. I think it's also easy to forget. Having been around in the music world, it's easy to forget these are just people.
Yeah.
You know, like they're just human beings, and like they realize they're famous. You know, like they realize they're in a different state. They realize they can't just go to like the 7-Eleven and have a normal experience. Like that's why Michael Jackson famously had to like rent out a supermarket and then have paid actors in the supermarket just to make him feel like what it was like to go to a supermarket.
Was it like a Target or a Walmart or something like that? Like, he went to he basically bought out a grocery store or a Target so that he could shop there
with actors that were acting as if they wouldn't know who he was.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's I don't know if he did it or he set it up, but that was a famous thing that he did. And like these people know that. They're aware that they're famous. They're aware they're in a different world than you. But it's so easy to forget on both sides. It's easy to forget that, like, you know, you're famous and et cetera, and it happens, like, it can happen so fast. But it's really easy to rag on somebody that's famous because, well, you know about them. They don't know about you. Like, they're an easy target. It's just, I don't know. I think it's what it needs to come down to is, like, with James Corden, for instance, he was being really... what word can I say here? He's being a bit of a dickhead.
Public nuisance.
Bit of a nuisance to people, and that came out. Same with Ellen, being a bit of a difficult boss, and that came out later. It's like as long as we're holding people accountable. I hate to say hold people accountable. As long as we're holding people accountable, if you're a good and nice enough person, like look at Tucker Carlson, for instance. He did when he was caught fishing by that one guy in Central Park. That's how you can be. You can be a normal person and still be known by everybody. You don't have to be a dickhead. But if you are a dickhead, don't be surprised if people are like, you're being a dickhead. Yeah. You know, like.
Did they ask Tucker about the green M&M? They should have asked Tucker about the green M&M.
How do you get real mad
Maybe they should. I think that both sides could do better with maybe just admitting that we aren't going to ever understand or really be able to truly understand what the other is going through because our lives aren't the same.
Right. Yeah. That's the biggest thing is just realizing that there's a difference there.
And I'm sure like Britney's probably got a whole host of other problems we'll never even know about.
Right.
Like
or ever come close to understanding.
Worst to me, like looking at her Instagram post, is like all of these posts where she's barely wearing any clothing and she's like dancing around, not realizing how crazy she looks to everyone, possibly. I see that she is like kind of trying to take back control of her sexuality and like people objectifying or sexualizing her, because naturally in the 2000s that was part of her career,
right?
And she's like has this deranged look on her face and is like smacking her ass and looking at the camera.
Yeah, kind of got like I think Madonna has a similar problem with this.
Yeah,
whole,
exactly
this whole, like,
that.
growing old thing.
Madonna's feels more calculated.
Aging
to me.
and
yeah, true.
Right.
Very
with
true.
Madonna, but like she's like aging and like I don't know, like not coping well with this change in her life, like not being in the prime of her beauty anymore.
Do you think that male celebrities deal with aging better than women? That like because of the virtue of how
they were never valued for their looks anyway.
Yeah, not in the same way.
Not in the same way.
Like Tom Cruise can age, and like Tom Cruise now looks roughly his age, a little bit younger, but still roughly his age. But in my opinion, he looks actually I don't know about that because he's about the same. He's only a couple years younger than Tom Hanks, and he looks better than Tom Hanks. So maybe I'm wrong.
Well, I saw people arguing about this on Twitter, which is where most people argue about things.
Yes.
Posting comparison pictures of Tom Cruise and who was his female co-star in the first Top Gun.
I don't know her name.
I forget. Oh,
it is.
Yeah.
But she wasn't
Shannon something. I forget. I feel like it was Shannon for some reason.
But she wasn't recast in Top Gun Maverick, and people had a big problem with that because it's ageism, sexism, et cetera. But she is not aged as well as Tom Cruise has.
No,
there are a lot of reasons for that.
Kelly McGillis.
Kelly McGillis.
Okay.
There are a lot of reasons for that. notably, she's like had cancer. She has spoken about getting gang R-worded twice in her life, dealing with the trauma of that from the age of like 12. Things that ordinarily people don't go through that will like trauma will make you age faster. Stress will make you age faster.
Plus, he's got Scientology.
Yeah, and he has the power of Scientology on his side. But they were like comparing them in such a like callous way like that to say like women age like milk and men age like wine, and it's like
there are plenty of women that have aged.
Trauma ages like milk too, though.
Yeah, it does.
So, and then people posted a picture comparing like Jennifer Connelly and Brendan Fraser, and they were like,
from while he was starring in The Whale.
Like comparing them young versus old and saying like, well, you can pick an example to prove any point that you want.
Yeah, good point.
Well,
because Brendan Fraser has been through a lot too.
Yeah, yes.
That affected how he aged.
Here's 60-year-old Jennifer Beals, so it doesn't really compute. Yeah, like she's like 61 in that or something like that.
She would play Kamala Harris in the biopic.
Oh my God.
Wow, that is so true.
Holy crap.
And it would not be accurate.
It depends if she can squint her eyes enough when she's smiling, like
and laugh like a psychopath.
That's so annoying.
I'm sorry. Like just
I brought her up on the after show yesterday talking about AI because she's like the new AI star. Yeah.
Yeah, we are so screwed.
Oh no, I think the opposite. We're gonna be fine.
She's gonna save us from AI.
She's gonna save us from AI. She's gonna become this knight in shining armor and just be so.
She just
I think
wants
the
to
AI
throw
just
them all
won't be
in
able to
jail.
understand her. She won't be able to understand like whether or not she's like I don't know. Anyways.
Last thing I wanted to mention is that there are a couple of A-listers that Britney Spears had flings with earlier in her career that are reportedly threatening legal action against her because her memoir is coming out soon.
But there's no names attached to it as to which ones those are. Probably
Not
Justin
yet.
Timberlake.
Oh, not JT.
Yeah.
Oh no, JT.
Probably JT.
JT kind of did her dirty, like
Yeah,
he
kind
did.
of.
How? How do you?
I've heard that Crimea River is like a massive misrepresentation of what happened.
Crimea River.
Well, I mean, there's three sides to every story, right?
Yeah.
Your side, my side, and the truth. So it's probably somewhere closer to like Crimea like a lake, or Crimea something less than a river. Crimea pond,
stream.
a pond.
Oh, JT.
Yeah.
He's had quite a wild career.
But he's also seems like he's come out fairly normal. He also got a ton of crap after the Janet Jackson thing.
Well, I mean,
That was planned. Like Janet Jackson was in on it.
And it's kind of what's messed about that Janet Jackson thing is her career like took a hit for for no reason in a very different America at the time. If you think about the America then that was outraged about that and how different that would have been if that occurred 20 years later. Yep. It would be a completely different story, and people would have been like, "Oh, this is courageous and brave, and like we should be freeing the nipple and blah blah blah." And now it's like that was like that.
Well, if she flashed them herself,
right?
Yeah.
Then it would
then
because
it would be different.
it wouldn't have been a male exposing her. Very true. Very white male at that, guys, who's appropriating black culture by being a singer and a rapper and stuff like that and a dancer.
Yeah.
Very true. Very true. There's a lot of angles you can take on that.
All right, we got some super chats there, Mary.
Suwata Mastani said, "Smoking is horrible. I am a smoker / ex-smoker." Well,
good that
are
you
you
got
a
off of it.
smoker or an ex-smoker?
That's good that you got off it, though, man.
We're not endorsing it.
I don't know if you have though.
Yeah.
Like one thing I was always very lucky with is that I never smoked cigarettes of any. Like given all of my addiction issues, to not have to have that on your back too is also like a huge thing for me to not have to deal with that.
I remember like when I was in high school, I had like started trying to smoke because it was the cool thing.
What?
Yeah, it was like I
Brett,
really,
you laugh
seriously.
at that, but it's like, how does anyone smoke for the first time?
Right.
Because they're trying to.
I had a friend who started at 21, and I'm like, what?
Right. 21's the new age. Now everyone's supposed to start at 21.
That was
actually
crazy to me.
I feel years ago, it was way more common for just straight up children to smoke.
Oh yeah, but
Yeah,
you see
definitely.
ads and stuff back in the day of like people, of like kids.
Yeah, my mom said the first time
They're
that
not
she
ads,
smoked a
but, like,
cigarette,
pictures.
she was like 9 years old or something.
Crazy.
I mean,
Yeah,
not that
it's
she
wild.
got addicted straight from there, but yeah.
it's a totally different thing now. But yeah, I remember like I had a pack for so long it like went stale, and I was like, oh, maybe I should go buy more because it
What?
run out because it never like hooked me. It never hooked me. It was
Be
just
thankful.
Some people are like that.
Be
Hey,
thankful.
I don't know. It always tastes like just chemicals and grossness to me. So yeah,
Mm-hmm.
but yeah, we're not endorsing smoking. We're just saying there are reasons that people do smoke that are not the classic. Oh, I started in high school and I started smoking. Like
Yeah.
there are other reasons to do it, but yeah.
That'll be
anyways.
the supercut of me saying like smoking's not bad for you, it's good for you, and then
And
you being like,
smoking's
we're
bad,
not endorsing
okay?
smoking.
And then you being like, people should steal.
Yeah. Touchy
Oh,
Subjects said all the armies in the world are no match for an idea whose time has come. Films spread ideas. Hi, Surge. You guys are definitely affecting the culture.
The Coulter. The Ann Coulter.
The Ann Coulter.
The
Yeah.
Ann Coulter crisis.
Ann Coulter.
It's crazy to think that like I've met her now and I can think about that.
I didn't meet
She's
her.
an
I didn't meet her
amazing
when she
woman.
was here.
Yeah.
Shane H. Wilder said there have been multiple studies that found that nicotine can help prevent Alzheimer's disease. Interesting.
Correct.
Also, the Mormon mob gives arsenic and Old Lace vibes.
Yeah.
True.
Very scary stuff.
I didn't know that about Alzheimer's.
Yeah, there's a couple things.
mean-
there's
oh,
that guy. What's his name? Andrew Huberman. He's the guy who's on YouTube and stuff like that. It's like being this guy who knows all this stuff about neurology and etc. I'm pretty sure people would remember the name Andrew Huberman. He has
The
talked
name
about-
sounds familiar.
Yeah, definitely. He's very famously has talked about some of the benefits of
Did you do something with
nicotine.
Modern Wisdom?
That sounds really familiar.
Okay.
I don't remember. I don't know what that is exactly, but I remember watching something with him recently talking about like there are many cognitive benefits to nicotine actually, and people just ignore them because smoking's bad. Okay, which it is. I'm not saying it isn't, and I don't think it is bad, but there are cognitive benefits to taking nicotine. It's just the method of ingestion is questionable. You know what I mean? So.
Okay.
Yeah.
Remember that story about like that college professor who went on? Remember the college professor went on Rogan and basically told everyone to do heroin. He didn't say that, but he basically said like I used heroin responsibly.
Oh.
He did, yeah.
Yes, I remember that
Yeah.
guy. And wasn't he talking about crack cocaine as well?
I just remember.
He
the
said he was
heroin.
like a functional heroin user,
Yeah.
and it was like him not realizing that he only got safe drugs, not safe, but like, you know what I mean? Like not laced drugs because he is upper middle class,
Right. Yeah, he had access
white
to it.
Mm-hmm.
collar guy.
I mean, I say more power to him to do that, but I also say like like maybe like
It's very out of touch.
putting that as like an idea where it's like you should at least be able to promote the idea that like look, my experience will definitely not be your experience.
Why should we
Right.
destigmatize things like that?
You should
Destigmatize heroin?
like
Why?
I'm just saying like just you shouldn't be saying like, oh, you're going to have the same I don't know if he said that, but I'm saying like you run the risk of people being like, oh, that means I can do it and there will be no repercussions when there might just be. So
True.
Luis Aguilar said, "Get that cup of Joe, King."
he got it.
Yeah,
Hold it
got
up.
it.
This is actually quite good. I know there was a sweet cream version of this. It's a little bit sweet
Oh, you
for
like
me.
it sweet?
No, I just want to try it because I'm addicted to novelty. If there's something I'm addicted to, it's trying like totally random and new things.
Me
So-
too. Every
I
time
love
there's
it.
a new flavor of M&Ms or
Oh,
like
I
a
know.
new gimmick, I'm
Oh,
like,
I have to for some
I
reason.
need it.
For some reason, it's weird.
or like Kit Kats
Yeah,
flavors
yeah.
or something. I'm just like,
If you ever go to Japan, they have
a lot.
so many kinds of Kit Kats. It will blow your mind. Like it's just stuff you never would
they
have
have
expected.
them at like
Kit Kat
H
flavor.
Marts here too.
Yeah, they do. They have some stuff that's weird, but over there, there's way bigger selection. It's
Yeah.
like mind blowing.
Dreaminology in the chat says opiates are so addicting. Yes, absolutely.
That is true.
And it's
Confirmed.
not something that you should be promoting with the idea that you're just going to be able to do it and then
He
quit.
he claimed
a cheeky
He
literally-
cheeky smack of the elbow.
that professor said that there is no pharmacological
So
property of heroin that makes it addictive, and that it's purely mental.
What?
Like, can you imagine?
Bruh.
That was his take for real.
Bruh.
Okay.
and on to be on Joe Rogan's podcast and say that in front
Yeah.
of like other people that are watching. It's like,
Which is funny too because
man.
like the
Don't say
whole
that.
reason like for me growing up, right? Like I was always terrified of the other stuff. I was terrified of cigarettes and drinking because that was like what was in my family. So really, like at that time, opiates weren't really looked at like in the same way that they are now. They were more plentiful at the time, so it was
Right,
just not
definitely.
something that was seen the same way. I
And
don't
it
know.
happens to a lot of people where, like, I mean, obviously everyone knows about, like, you got prescribed by your doctor, and then eventually, like, you can't get it from your doctor anymore, so you have to find it from the street dealer and stuff like
Yeah.
that. But it also happens within religions like Mormonism, where it's like you think it's okay and it's safe because
It's
these
prescribed.
pills are prescribed by a doctor, and you think, oh, it's fine if I take this, it's not gonna hurt me in any way because heroin is a bad thing, but this isn't a bad thing when it's really just the same thing.
Every human experience is just mental. That is not the case. I mean, heroin addiction is not just mental. It's physiological.
Yeah. Remember, alcohol withdrawals will kill you. So
yeah.
Barbiturate withdrawals will kill you.
The opiate withdrawal for me was 3 weeks of not sleeping and wanting to essentially die. Because you every bone in your body is on fire. Yeah. Every minute feels like an hour, and according
to the professor, that's just you, bro. Yeah. That's just your experience, bro.
And yeah, it's like so the strong physical, like as you go through it, and as you essentially like you can't eat, so you vomit up water constantly, and you literally feel poison leaving your body through like that's why like people take so many hot showers when they're going through that. You literally sweating a ton. The chemicals from your system. So to call that just mental is absurd.
I had a friend of mine I watched go through that, and he was just pouring sweat all the time. I don't know if that was the same with you, but just constantly, like it was like 100 degrees. And it was like winter. It was like February, just sweating. Like it's wild.
And which is sad. Like which is even worse is like as bad as that was. Uppers are more psychologically addictive, meaning it was harder. It was easier for me to stop doing the opiates once I got them out of my system because I was so scared of going through the withdrawals again. Right. But without physical withdrawals to uppers, it was much harder to just say no.
Right. Totally.
To that. I don't know. Like it's all bad. It's all bad, guys.
It is all bad.
Okay. Yeah. We've got a last story about Sam Smith to go through. He recently canceled a show in Israel, in Tel Aviv, and they tried to pass this off as tech issues and logistical errors, but it almost definitely was political pressure that got Sam Smith to cancel the show because of BDS activists.
Boycott, divest, sanction.
Yeah, that's boycott.
It's like I can hear Ilhan Omar from the other room, like coming in to say, "No, Sam Smith, you cannot go to Israel."
They created a hashtag campaign. I don't think that a hashtag equals a campaign, but whatever. It was called #SamDon'tGo.
Wow.
Very simple message, and it involved people urging Smith to cancel his concert, as well as a petition that was launched to convince them to do so. So I saw that after he canceled it, the the Palestinian Campaign for the Academic and Cultural Boycott of Israel tweeted, Palestinians warmly welcome the news that Sam Smith will not be performing in apartheid Israel and avoiding art washing or pink washing Israel's oppression against Palestinians. Pink washing?
I don't like that they're
what does that mean?
I've never heard
apartheid too.
Art washing? Never heard that word either.
Yeah.
NGOs just be coming up with the randomest terms. And then Palestine Solidarity Campaign tweeted, "We are thrilled at the news that Sam Smith will not be performing in apartheid Israel. This comes after thousands around the world called on Sam to respect the Palestinian picket line and cancel the gig. #SamDon'tGo." And this is like way beyond the levels of Writers Guild strike pressure. But it's weird because I feel like there's I don't know, Sam Smith performing his raunchy, demonic,
in Israel,
disgusting shows in Israel already feels wrong to me as a person of faith. But then if you think about it, the state of Israel is a secular one.
Yeah, it's
and
in Tel Aviv too.
Has a huge gay population.
Yes, definitely.
So that is essentially his target audience, and he's now basically acquiesced to political pressure, meaning he's not the resistance guy
I'm interested to hear
that he claims to be.
I'm interested to hear what, like you said, it's his target audience. I'm interested to hear what people in Tel Aviv and what Israelis that are there think about that. Are they going to be applauding him for not coming? Are they going to be like, yeah, thanks for not coming to our problematic state? Or like, well, I don't know what they're going to, like, what are they going to do? I'd love to hear their opinion on it.
Also, if I'm forced to look at this picture today, everyone else has to look at this picture today. Sorry.
I can look this way and I don't have to look at it at all. It's great.
Thanks. Okay. I hate it.
I don't even know what it is.
And then they're saying that he should do a concert in Gaza instead, in solidarity.
How?
They would
That's
never
so
allow
ridiculously
that
insane.
show to
Why
happen
would that
in
ever
Gaza.
happen?
That would never happen, and it's such a dangerous thing too. And if for Sam Smith to act as if being in Gaza, which again is very Muslim, he's going to be in Gaza and act like people aren't going to have a problem with him being, or him, they being they them, and like not like that's not going to be a problem, dude. Like that's going to be a big issue. I don't know, to do it in Gaza, dude. That's not going to happen. Not gonna happen.
They said, here's hoping he does a show in Gaza, maybe a rooftop venue.
Dude.
Ooh. That's rough.
That wasn't me.
That is a nice defenestration.
If you know, you know.
It is a weird statement on the globalist nature of entertainment now that these have to be issues at all when you're a performer, that you have to worry about the individual thoughts of every single nation, the individual beliefs of every single nation that you go travel to, because now you're getting pressure from another nation about another nation that you're performing.
Right.
So
wild.
does he ever going to go to South Korea and have a bunch of North Koreans be like, North Koreans for Sam Smith do not want Sam Smith to play in South Korea?
Dude, that's a really big question to ask about, like what people are gonna do with this, because the state of the world, it's weird because we're all so interconnected now. It used to be like you go to other places and you'd be like, what's the news here? What's the news here? There were differences. Now we all have. I remember like having Deutschmarks and francs when I was young in Europe. That's not a thing anymore. Everyone's on euros now, and that changed when I was a child. And
I've heard that even accents in a lot of places are going away because we're getting one like globalized accent.
I mean, you're not going to get harmony between Islamism and liberalism. No. And if anyone thinks that that's going to happen, they'll find out the hard way.
Right.
Like, genuinely.
Yeah, it's not,
they're not compatible.
Not compatible, yeah.
And that's that's like I was saying yesterday, you can't like woke in two directions.
They're going to try.
He's being pulled both directions. Yeah.
It's like really the Squidward meme where he's looking in opposite directions. It's like me when I'm trying to like pander to pro-Palestine activists. And then me when I'm trying to pander to like all the LGBTQ and drag queen activists.
I do remember the first time that I saw the Queers for Palestine signs at college campuses.
It's the craziest thing. I was like, that is such a, what's the word? It's like the military intelligence. It's a what's the word? It's like it doesn't make sense. It's like the opposite. You know,
I'm just dying to know what pink washing and art washing
it's like
is.
it's a not a snafu. It's a oxymoron. Oxymoron. Yeah. It's like so. I've ever seen that as well in university. It's like that's the most oxymoronic sign I've ever seen in my life. Yep. I've never thought I would ever see that, but here we are. You know, and it's only a little while before people in the LGBTQIA2+ and counting figure out about Asia and then start using that as their argument within Islamic circles to say this is totally fine. Let's push the pro-MAP movement, you know what I mean? I think that could eventually happen. I don't know if it will, but that could be an alliance that will bring the two back together again.
I just found out what pink washing is.
What is it?
It says pink washing is the strategy of promoting LGBT rights protections as evidence of liberalism and democracy, especially to distract from or legitimize violence against other countries or communities, often to improve a country's tarnished reputation.
Wow.
You know what the problem is with
very
society?
deceptively written.
That's
you know what the problem with society is?
They're using Sam Smith to make themselves look better.
Well, they're claiming like, people who are pro-Israel are using gay people as a shield.
That's crazy.
Of activism to continue like marginalizing Palestinians, which I'm completely ignorant and not opinionated about.
My favorite thing in the world is whenever Israel-Palestine comes up because I get to be like, I don't
I never heard.
It's just weird to make that argument to say they're pink washing when it's like they're the Zionist Jewish state who wouldn't inherently be like all about being promoting homosexuality, you know, but they're gonna use it's like it doesn't make sense. There at some point there's like a logical break where it's like this wouldn't make any sense, but they're gonna
figured out what
gonna use anyways, I guess.
Art washing is.
Okay.
It says art washing is a process where real estate entities use cultural capital to rebrand luxury developments, I guess gentrification, by buying advertising space within a gallery in order to cover up negative public image.
Rephrase that again. Say that one more time.
they use cultural capital to rebrand luxury developments.
Cultural
By,
capital.
I guess woke advertisement used to cover up a negative public image.
Oh.
Like woke capitalism,
Like
basically.
Nike? Like Nike with all their child slaves? Is that?
Yeah, I think so.
I don't think that's.
I think that would maybe count.
Like Pepsi, who is contributing to like the obesity crisis in the United States.
It's sort of
Totally.
like
Never seen
I
that
guess they
before.
mean like when gentrification happens and like a neighborhood becomes trendy and
art washed.
Like art washed, meaning there are select buildings with graffiti art on it.
Yeah.
At your local IPA and burger joint.
There's a
IPA and axe throwing bar.
I don't know. Yeah, I guess something like that.
There was an IPA, an IPA in Minnesota, like right at like a brewery that had a
Okay.
large mural of Ruth Bader Ginsburg on it.
That sounds exactly like what we're talking about.
Yeah.
That's art washing. There you go.
Yeah.
It's it was
The
hilarious.
notorious
That sucks,
RBG, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep.
True that.
That was that's what it was. I don't know. For the Sam Smith thing, it just seems to be that he's not going to be able to pull himself both directions. But I figured he would go to Israel. Like I really
Do you think
did.
that this was his decision, or did they made it for him?
Probably his management made it for him.
It's just quote
Yeah.
unforeseeable problems.
Well, that's
which
always
could mean anything.
That's always an easy. It's like irreconcilable differences for divorce. That could literally mean anything.
Yeah, it's meant
Yeah.
to be. Everything's purposely meant to be ambiguous.
Yeah.
And not give you any real reason.
You know what meme actually is probably my favorite, or meme like template is my favorite to describe the human condition is me, also me. It speaks to the duality of man.
Indeed.
That you can
or like the Spider-Man meme.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, that one's
pointing
even
at
that
the
one's a little bit more accusatory in a lot of ways because it's
Yeah.
usually used in the context of like insulting someone in a
Yeah.
lot of ways. But me, also me, inherently accepts that we are a contradiction in terms
Right.
in many ways. So you can post about anything, and a lot of it. My favorites are always the one that's like, we should be kind to our fellow man. Me at a traffic jam yelling at somebody to get out of the frickin' way and stuff like that. It's kind of like all the women who have be kind in their social media profiles right before they write the most insanely psychotic thing to a person on Instagram. You know, it costs nothing to be kind as they tell you to unalive yourself because you don't agree with them.
Thoughts on that with
Yeah.
the Bible verses in bio?
I mean, I tend to find that most of the people that I see that have Bible verses in their bio don't exactly look like religious people to me, but I could be wrong.
True.
Or it says God first.
I just feel like if you put a Bible verse in your bio, you shouldn't expect that anyone's going to look it up and check what it is.
No, they're not.
Like, what's the point?
Who's the last person?
You want people to see that you have a Bible verse in your bio. You don't want them to read the Bible verse.
Right. Yeah.
Unless you directly quote it in the bio.
Right.
Right?
What's the word? It's there's something that Christ talks about where he says, you know, if you're fasting, don't dress in like old robes and everything like that when you go out into the streets, because it's not about the image of you fasting. It's about you doing it to do it for your own sake. It's very performative, I think is the word I'm looking for. It's giving performance vibes. You know, it's not really like
it's not giving.
It's not
It was
really who you
supposed to
are.
be
And
giving.
Jesus was like, it's giving.
yeah. Jesus was like, it's
No,
giving
Jesus
right
was
now.
like, it's not giving.
Yeah, he said it's
And
not
you should be giving to the poor.
Yeah, true. Very enough.
I mean, it's also okay. They're bringing up the Abraham Accords. It's all of
What?
Sam Smith's problems because Trump's not in office and we don't have that. That's the problem. He didn't get to finish his work in the Middle East, and everyone is suffering.
I don't know enough about this.
If that
subject.
makes everyone that's a fan of Sam Smith vote for Trump, then yes, let's do it. That sounds good.
Okay.
Sounds
All
fair to me.
right, we got some super chats there.
Disco Jensen said for the caffeine fund. Thank
Yes,
you. Great
thank
show.
you.
Love you guys.
Thank you.
Thank you. Javier Vasquez said, think of all the artists that were kept on drug cocktails. Johnny Cash, Monroe, Elvis, Morrison, Hendrix, Spears, etc., etc., etc. Say it with me. Psyop.
I mean, is Britney Spears... Here's the thing, though. If Britney Spears is a psyop, like, what is the goal of pushing it? Is it just to further divide people on whether she's healthy or not? I don't think anyone's looking at her and thinking, I want to live like
Well,
this.
if you think about her career in the macro level, people would say that it's a ritual deflowering that in American culture that we do to young female starlets.
Yeah.
because it's an anti-purity thing.
Taking
Taking away from young women what makes them most prized.
And in a lot of ways, for the Disney level, the ones who start off on Disney, they have to go through their ritualistic bad girl phase, which is just cynically just a marketing technique.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Trauma Llama. Love that.
That's an amazing name.
Said,
Good one.
don't forget your... What is this?
I looked up...
WTTP?
I looked up WTTP and it said internet slang for want to trade pictures. I don't know if that's what he's referring to here.
I've been on the internet a long time and I've never seen WTTP.
Neither did I.
I've seen pick comment for pick comment. I've never seen PC for PC, but I've never seen WTTP. That's a new one.
That sounds made up. Every time that you
It's a
look
new
up
one.
an acronym. Wait, what is paint the railing?
Paint the railing.
I don't get it. Explain, Trauma Llama. Isaac Martinez.
Unless this is something, if this is something recovery related and it's related to a 12-step program, I did not go through a 12-step program. I went through a separate type of program. So maybe, I don't know if it's connected to something like that.
He said, best movie that you saw that's black and white.
Thoughts? The first one that
It's a Wonderful
immediately
Life.
came to mind was either It's a Wonderful Life or Schindler's List.
What else? Was
but-
Gone with the Wind? Gone with the Wind was colorized. I watched the colorized version.
Well,
think.
my favorite was OG Wizard of Oz.
There you go.
That was
The
a good one.
flashbacks in The Sandlot.
Oh yeah, I forgot that's in black and white. Does that count though?
Forever.
Wait, it is?
The flashbacks are, not the movie.
What
Oh,
about,
I was like, what?
what about Clerks?
Am I remembering
Actually, I
wrong?
take it back. I don't want the Wizard of Oz. I want Clerks.
Old
There you
Clerks.
go.
Clerks was good. That was a really good one.
Aren't
Yeah.
they remaking that?
No, they
don't
made
know.
they made a new they made like
Clerks
a Clerks
2?
3 recently.
Oh, Clerks 3? Yeah. we're
That
on three
apparently
after
was
that.
really good, but nobody went and saw it.
Okay. Shane H. Wilder said, damn it, Brett, I just ate.
I put that Sam Smith
Oh.
picture up there. Sorry, buddy.
Oops.
I didn't mean to do that to you. But like I said, if
He's
I gotta,
violently ill after seeing any image of Sam Smith.
if I have to post,
I
if
understand.
I have to look at that picture when we're getting the show ready, then everybody else has to look at it too.
He's so grotesque.
Wait, but I pointed out earlier, so he was what I would call, dare I say, good looking before he became all weird. He's just
Yeah.
like-
Traditionally good looking.
he was smart with rocking the facial hair the right way that framed his face properly.
Had a normal haircut.
Had a fade that fit the way that
Early
he shaved his
2010s.
beard. Yeah, like,
2012 look. Yeah. totally.
it was good, and then he just decided to go nuts. So
Whatever
Yeah.
happened to Macklemore?
so what was it? Did you know?
He fell off.
Did you know that he's responsible for the fact that thrift stores are out of priced and out of
Yes.
control
Not
prices? No,
true.
yes, absolutely, man. Thrift stores started upping their prices
Come
right
on.
around the time.
That's
People
what,
just started thrifting then because it was a trend. It didn't
It was
have
both.
to do with just
No,
No,
was
song.
both.
look,
It was both.
and then thrift stores started falling off once Trump got in office because people had money again. Thanks, Obama. It's his fault that thrift stores.
That's not true.
Oh yeah.
I
mean, I went
thrifted
to
all
thrift stores.
throughout the Trump admin, and it was because girls would go to thrift
I
stores.
said fell off. I didn't say everyone in the world stopped.
Well, people would no, like it was a huge deal. Like I'm saying, it didn't fall off. Like girls would go to thrift stores, they would get a huge haul of cheap clothes, and then upsell them on Depop.
Vintage.
I remember when Depop became a thing. I also remember thrifting before Depop was a thing. And I don't know. I think it was both. It's like a positive feedback mechanism.
I was,
you know?
I-
like it was popular, but then when the song came out, I made it more popular to like the normies, if you want to call them that, you know. And then it just became this way bigger thing. And then I think in some places it got more expensive. And there definitely was a thing about like
No, it
you know,
it went up
reselling
in
on
prices.
Depop and
It went
stuff.
up in prices everywhere.
Right, 'cause they can make money. Yeah.
When they started locking up the N64 and Sega Genesis games, that was when I got pissed. Okay, because
You lived in a bad area.
No, I did not live in a bad area. Not at that time.
You must have.
No, I did not. Look, no, because you can find copies. I found a sealed copy of Super Mario 2, and that costs a lot of money. But you used to be able to find that for a reasonable price. The internet also played a role in this because they could start looking up the prices. And a lot of the stores, a lot of the thrift stores have their own eBay accounts where they put the really good
Right.
merch.
I guess you can see it. A lot of like random classic records that were not really that expensive and were just like bargain bin $2 records, then suddenly became like $12 records again.
Yeah, and
So
I
I
would
guess
also
I kinda
use
see
it
that.
to find vintage skates.
Oh yeah.
Like that I would use to then sell on eBay or to on Facebook Marketplace at that time, because you could find rare Solomons or rare K2s from the 90s that you'd be able to resell. But I collected mountain tees, which is the t-shirts that are like you find them at like Wolf or Bears and stuff. There's lightning and stuff on the shirts, and
Eagles,
you'd see them
dragons.
a lot at like rest stops. And truck stops. So that's a mountain tee was a brand, and I would find rare mountain tees, and then eventually at one point I was so poor I had to sell the whole collection of mountain tees.
Yeah, 3 Wolf Moon. That's right.
Yep.
Jacob Adler. True that.
Yep.
C2 Gaming said, "Wait until y'all learn about purple pilling."
I don't even want to look that up. I do love the song "Purple Pills" though by Eminem and D12.
Oh yeah, that was a good song.
Yep, good stuff.
Yeah, true that.
Yeah, who needs to? It's just like what if I took like the guy says like the red pill and the blue pill, and then it cuts and he's looking like this. It's like the guy took both.
Oh yeah.
And you just take both of them. That's what you do. All right, guys. Before we go today, could you like this video and subscribe to this channel if you have not done so already? Again, I say like this video. I want to get those like numbers up. Them is rookie numbers there, guys. Let's get that up. Subscribe to this channel. We're pushing into 60,000 subscribers, so thank you very much for that. Serge, my friend, let everyone know where they can find you.
You guys can watch me this evening on Timcast IRL. I might speak. I may not. We'll see how it goes. Other than that, you can find me at serge.com, SERGE.com, spelled out. Anywhere on the internet, SoundCloud, Instagram, Twitter, etc.
Not Kellen PDL?
No. Apparently that's like not show for me to let my personal account, on the show. So yeah.
Okay.
Perfect. Mary, where can they find you?
You can send me validation on Instagram at Mary Archived, or send me hate on Twitter. That is also Mary Archived. And yeah, like Brett said, subscribe, like the video. Not going to ask you twice.
I'll probably ask you twice. Don't worry. 60,000 subscribers very soon, we're hoping. So, guys, if you want to follow me, you can follow me on Instagram and Twitter at Brett Dasovic on both of those platforms. The show is here Monday through Friday, 3 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. That is noon Pacific, so thank you for joining us. If you'd like to listen rather than watch, we are on Amazon Music, Apple Podcasts, Pandora, and Spotify. And if you'd like to follow the show on social media, we're on Twitter at @popculture_show, Facebook and TikTok at @popculturecrisis, and on Instagram at @popculturecrisisPod. We'll be back with another episode tomorrow. We'll see you then, guys.
Bye.
Deuces.